Good morning, namaste, and vanakkam to all our respected dignitaries and participants. I hope you had a wonderful and enjoyable evening yesterday. I would like to take a moment to thank Tamil Nadu team for a wonderful experience. Today we'll be starting with a few technical sessions from our NHA team. We have Dr. Shankar Prinja, followed by Dr. Sudha Chandrasekhar to introduce us with the new HBP policy and the RG ICD 11. So, ITS, Mr. Kiran. Okay, I'm so sorry for the mistake. We have Mr. Kiran Gopal with the new developments on IT Platform 2.0 and ERP. So may I please have you on the stage?
Uh, Good morning, everyone. My name is Kiran Gopal. I am director at NHA, looking mainly at the IT implementations of PMJY and ABDM, and also certain policy aspects of ABDM. PMJY IT system is something that you all have been using for quite some time now. You're all aware of the uh, features it has and also the issues it has been having over some time. And thanks to the very strong team at NHA, uh, not on the IT side, the functional side, we've been having continuous improvements, continuous changes to this IT platform, be it additional inclusion of new HBPs or requirements of states or coding such as ICD and ICH, or improving the overall user experience, be it BIS or TMS. Nevertheless, the decision was taken, as you all know, to move on to the next version of PMJY IT 2.0, where we would have an improved version of the BIS system, a decoupled version of the TMS system, where we are trying to bring in what we are calling the health claims exchange, which is going to be kind of a unified insurance claims and insurance processing portal onto which any entity, be it public or private, can easily plug in, and also certain other improvements in the system in order to make it more efficient and user friendly. As you're all aware, these are the various components of the PMJY IT system: the software, the cloud computing, the mobile applications, the communications through APIs, the data warehouse where all the data is sitting, and also the information on data analytics, the fraud analytics, reporting, and other monitoring tools. So this is the system of PMJY as you are aware of it today, where you have the payer and the provider on one end, you have the beneficiary on the other, and you have the physical presence of the PMJY at the ground level in terms of the PM in the form of PMAMs, and the IT platform that is carrying the data from end to end. So there are the benefit packages, etc. What the newer addition into this is this ABHA, where, as you all know, it has been decided that we need to have an ABHA ID for every individual in the country who is accessing healthcare, so that their records and their longitudinal history can be built. So this is already available in the PMJY system now, and this is the latest addition into this whole gamut of things that is driving the ecosystem of PMJY. Then the new initiatives, I wouldn't say these are really absolutely new that you're completely unaware of, but I just like to highlight some of the things that are being done as part of this, and to tell you why certain things are being done, be it e-rupee or be it the matching algorithm that we are doing to update the PMJY database, or the beneficiary facing app or the PMAM app. We'll just try to run you through the philosophy behind it, and of course it will be built in consultation with you, with your feedback, etc. So the first and foremost, the important one is the e-rupee prepaid voucher for cashless payments. Oftentimes, it has been found that when a patient goes to a hospital and he requires certain diagnostics tests, the hospital may or may not have it certain at that particular point in time. Then the patient is expected to go out to do a different lab or diagnostic center to get this test done. So that was actually leading to an increase in out-of-pocket expenditure, which is against the very philosophy of PMJY. So therefore, it was decided to come up with this e-rupee system of the e-rupee voucher that would be given to the user, that is the patient, and it would be part of his overall the pre-auth process, where the e-rupee is first generated based on the tests that are included in the package, and once it is approved, the patient receives these messages, which is a string, and these can be redeemed at these diagnostic centers for the tests that are prescribed for that particular package. The advantage of this is that now the patient now has a choice of going to getting his tests done without having to spend from his pocket. Next, we have a full account of where these tests have been conducted. The transaction is recorded, and the transfer of money is instant. So the plus for the diagnostic center or the institution that is getting involved in this process is that there is instant gratification and instant transfer. And apart from that, it is actually going to build a strong network of diagnostic labs which are linked to PMJY and their IT systems. I mean, today what happens is when they would, the expectation is that the patient goes to the diagnostic lab, shows his e-rupee voucher, be it in the form of a QR code if he has a smartphone, or a SMS string, and it is read by the provider, and then the test is done. Now, for what particular test this voucher has been redeemed, as of today, the expectation is that he would be the diagnostic test for which this is being done is entered at the hospital level itself. But going ahead, the integration would be more tightly coupled, where the information can flow directly from the system, the LMIS system of the particular diagnostic agency. So this is actually going to create that end-to-end flow of information and also money from the package that has been identified and being undertaken for the patient, so that the patient doesn't have to run from pillar to post and also doesn't have to spend money from his pocket. So from a development point of view, this is all ready. I think Bank of Baroda is the first bank which has successfully integrated with us, and we have done the end-to-end test run of this e-rupee voucher, and we would be making it available very shortly for everyone to start using it. Next is the PMJY 2.0. I mean, in fact, this is like an umbrella of changes. I would rather say most of the changes that we would be talking actually fall under the overall PMJY 2.0 idea. But the idea behind bringing to a PMJY 2.0, as you can see, is to make the existing system more user-friendly. In fact, some of you who are in the state groups yesterday might have seen there was a flood of messages because there was a release done by the development team which affected some of the working yesterday. So the idea is to make this more streamlined, to move to a more open API based environment. The thing is, today we have the three systems that we have, that is BIS at one end, you have the TMS, and then you have other state level systems. Now the interaction between these systems has to be more streamlined, and even the TMS has actually become a monolithic structure. We want to break it down. We want to make it into three basic components. One is the registration part, the other is the pre-auth part, the third one is the claim submission part. So the idea is to break it down into those components and also bring in the concept of health claims exchange here. Plus, there has been a very strong emphasis on health standards, state-wise, procedure-wise configurations, where we want to give you the flexibility to configure things whatever are possible at the state level itself. You don't really have to come back to NHA for small changes to be done. And like I already said, the divisional heads of various teams in NHA are already coming up with these changes and standardization from time to time. These will be an integral part of PMJY 2.0. So that is the additional things or the new improved versions that we are going to bring in. Machine learning based suggestions is another very important thing that we will be introducing here. PMJY now has a rich data of patients, and we have completed quite a few, I mean, in terms of millions, in fact, of procedures, and we've benefited so many people. So we have a rich repository of data. So now the idea is to use machine learning for suggestions, for predictive analytics and fraud analytics, etc., etc. And we want to make it an open system where you can actually benefit from the I mean, for example, when you are building your pre-auth application, the idea is to suggest or give a scoring to a particular person whether what is the probability that this person who is coming to you is a fraud. We have enough data to match, learn, and predict and give you a score to tell, okay, this is more a 90% risk case. You might as well check it better, or it is okay, this is a normal case. So that way, we want to make it a more less fraudulent process and make it difficult for those who want to commit frauds in accessing the system. So, and plus another thing that we need to understand is the data that we have today shows that there is a very skewed form of adoption, or rather utilization of this scheme. We realize that there was a number, right? Some 11% of the hospitals are actually capturing 90% of the funds and the procedures that are being done. So there could be two reasons to it, because let's say the southern part of the country has a well-established IT system and has a relatively better hospital network. Therefore, probably a majority of the transactions might be happening here. That is one reason. But at the same time, it is also possible that there are hospitals who are cornering a part of it, either through their own system of identifying patients, or we would like to understand what is really happening there. So that is another part. Eventually, the dashboards is another important part. Dashboards are extremely important for us, for you to understand what is going on, and we will try to make it as customizable as possible and easy for you to change it according to your needs. And then removing things such as making things easier for the patients, such as easy approval, etc., are also going to be an important part of the PMJY 2.2 idea. This is another thing, that this is the beneficiary mobile app is another application which is already existing. The idea is to revamp it, and the first point where you can all see it needs to be revamped is, this is a screenshot that you are seeing, and here it shows 29,061 hospitals empaneled. I mean, if I am a beneficiary of PMJY, the first thing I want to see there is मेरा 5 लाख में से कितना पैसा अभी बचा हुआ है. That is what I am more interested in. I don't care how many hospitals NHA has maybe empaneled, or how many people NHA has or this program has already treated. Rather, I would like to see when we are calling it the beneficiary mobile app, we need to have the beneficiary information, probably a history of what all treatments he has undergone so far. So this is the kind of idea that we are taking in, and I believe there are already 20 lakh downloads of this app. The only thing is to give a update to this, and we are coming up with a newer version where we will make it more user centric rather than trying to give our information to them ki say that देखो हमने इतने hospital कर दिए हमने इतने patients कर दिए हैं. That is going to be the idea. And some of the features that would be also available is the ability to print BIS card, hospital search by location, and many more such features that we are trying to bring in. PMIM mobile app, the beta version is ready. This is again an app to simplify the working at the ground level by the PMAM, where he has information in his hand. The idea is to avail these features, give him these features such as pre-auth, discharge, etc., and with an easy connect to web interface. And one of the important aspects of this is going to be the face auth, the recognition, the face auth that is going to make it even more easier, and plus ring fencing the area in which a particular PMAM is working. If I am attached to a particular facility, the idea is to make sure that whatever transaction is happening within, let's say, 100 meters of that area. He is not sitting in his home and doing some something that may not be relevant to the program, or something that may be fraud. So this is another thing that is that we are coming up. Dashboard, like I earlier mentioned, when we say open dashboard, you see, usually we have this idea of having a dashboard where you have a login and you log into the system, and the internal team is looking at the various KPIs to see how a scheme is moving and what is happening there. So one of the things that we want to do in the dashboard is make as much information as possible public. To quote CEO NHA, he says, "तुम तो नाम भी लिखो," especially for the fraud cases. You write name. This person availed this particular facility from this the treatment from this particular facility, and this has been found to be fraud. So idea is to make it transparent, open, easily accessible for anybody, so that we put as much information on the public domain, and this is only going to help us improve the scheme further, and also make sure that our own systems are running properly, because we will make sure we don't want to be, I mean, there is some data that is anomalous, then somebody will definitely point out, and that will actually put us, keep us on our toes to make sure that our systems are working better. And the layouts would be easier to change. I mean, the thing is, there's a whole gamut of things that we are trying to bring in here, making it easier for you all to look at data the way you want to look at. Health Claims Exchange, this is probably going to be the linchpin of PMJY going ahead, and this is going to be one application that is going to go beyond the PMJY scheme itself. Here the idea is to create a gateway which will bridge the existing gap between the provider and the payer. Numerous hospitals have come up and said to us, which they might have already told you, is that every hospital has an army of data entry operators and IT personnel sitting on computers trying to enter the data for various insurance claims and pre-auth processes. Through this Health Claims Exchange, we want to come up with a unified platform which will have protocols that both the payer and the provider can adhere to, and APIs that they can subscribe to, and the data flow between the provider and the payer will be happening in a smooth manner. And in fact, one of the targets that we have given to the CEO in a meeting 2 days back was that by 15th of June, we should be able to make this fully operational with at least, and also try to bring in a couple of private insurers on board to actually start demonstrating it. We can say that, see, we are already able to use it for PMJY and CGHS, etc. The real proof of the pudding is actually in trying to bring a private player to adopt this. And the hospitals, the hospital HMIS developers, etc., are really excited about this, because this is actually going to change and improve the way they are currently working. So to briefly tell you about, if you look at this, this is where the entire gateway with the API layers is going to sit. You have the payers on one end and the providers on the other. The idea is to connect them through APIs. The API development is completed. We are doing internal POC by creating two reference applications on both ends, because currently TMS is a tightly coupled system where everything is on one platform. Like I said, we want to decouple it, make it a system where people can, these are independent entities that are connecting and talking through APIs. So, and that will actually be talking to the registries that we are creating, be it the health ID or the drug registry or health data consent or policies, etc., etc. So, and we will be using what we are calling a policy markup language to codify the policies so that data exchange can happen and interpretation happens in a more seamless manner. So this is probably one of the biggest things that is going to come as part of the PMJY IT, I think. Lastly, the simulator. In fact, the Kerala team just asked us about what is going to happen to the data that we have versus the SECC data that you have. So this is a simulator that is already built and ready based on, and the idea is, as you can see, we will give you an opportunity, a facility to search by different parameters, show you the SECC family details on one end. We will show you the NFSA family details on the other. And then we will run an algorithm and already give you a probable match. And the algorithms that we are using here is phonetic search, that is the Soundex algorithm, and also the Levenstein distance algorithm. So we will prompt you in advance. Then the expectation from you is to do this particular part and run it, and you either accept it or reject it. And if it is rejected, then of course there will be an escalation, because if the system is saying it's a match and if the user says it does not match, then there would be an escalation system. So the idea is to give you that, and our request from the states would be to use this tool to complete this mapping, so that this will be the precursor to the card printing and giving other facilities, and actually building this what you call enriching the existing PMJY database, or the SECC PMJY data based on the database that you already have. So this tool is already built, it is ready, and we will be making it available to all of you very shortly. So these are some of the new things that we are doing in IT, which I wanted to highlight, and I think that is mostly what it is. And regarding the day-to-day issues that are being faced with BIS or TMS, the team is continuously working on them. And our objective is, by the time we come up with this new PMJY 2.0, the architecture would be such that we should be able to identify and plug these gaps earlier rather than later. And the incidents such as what happened yesterday, and I don't know, some of you might be knowing it, some of you may not be knowing it. There was a release, something was released into production, and it affected some of our systems. So the idea is to avoid such kind of things. So with that, yes. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, yes. So, hmm. Hmm.
In the lab, in the pharmacy, etc. That it will be easy for the patients to, because we are facing that issue. How to make patients make small payments in the hospital via e-health.
Okay.
Starting from registration of 2 rupee, small payments.
Okay. See, the thing is, the e-rupee implementation that we did is not a simple integration into the PMJY system itself. We already have a e-rupee platform that we have developed. that could be used by any system for creating their own e-rupee vouchers. That is one. And for the specific case that you have mentioned, we can work with you to get this thing done. But also, my suggestion is, people for such small transactions at different touch points, people already have UPI. I mean, let us not junk things that have already been created. My counter question to you is, don't you think people would be using UPI to do these small payments at this part? If I have Ajay, so you say that for those who do not have a smartphone. Okay, okay, fair enough. So I think we can work it out. The e-rupee platform is available. It is not a simply tightly coupled thing into the PMJY IT thing. It's a separate platform, and that is one of the services we are using out of it. So you also would be able to do it. So we can work and customize it for you. See, the idea is that the existing SECC database, what you call the mandate of PMJY is to provide these benefits to the SECC data. As of now, if there are, let's say, X number of SECC beneficiaries in a particular state, only a certain number of them have been identified. And as of today, the reimbursement or the payment that is being done is based on a pro rata basis. So instead of going by the pro rata basis, what we are saying is you already have a database of people whom you are already benefiting under your various schemes, be it NFSA or any other local state level scheme. The idea is to find a common identifier between your database and the NFSA database, sorry, the SECC database, and start identifying these particular people. So the thing is, you give a common identifier, and you will have the SECC data and your NFSA data, or the local data, and you will then, the system will then match. Let's say there is a family of 5 in the SECT, and NFSA it has a family of that is actually a family of 6. Of these 5, there would be one person who is already an anchor, who is already identified, based on whom you are pulling data from both the systems. Then the remaining 4 persons, it will then take each name, match with the remaining 5. Whichever is matching, it will say, okay, this is a match, and then it will show you below. These are the matching names. Then you say, okay, yes. So then these people are identified. That way, the entire SECC database, what you call, for a lack of better word, the quota of SECC database, the data that you have to provide this particular service, we want to like enrich it, fulfill it further, make sure that this whole pro rata business is done with. That's the idea.
Whenever there is an evacuation, emergency evacuation of patients taking place, we have the provision for reimbursement of that evacuation charge to the patient, sir. That case is given for Andaman and Lakshadweep separately. So in the insurance, our agreement with the insurance company also, there is a provision for that. But sir, since we cannot directly reimburse, the cash reimbursement is not admissible under PMJY, we are exploring many possibilities on that. In that case, sir, can we explore the possibilities by utilizing this e-voucher?
Yeah, absolutely. Voucher? That is a very good, why? No. See, cash is free to be spent on anything.
No, sir. Actually, evacuation charge of the patient usually.
No. The thing is, you are giving the transportation charges to the person, assuming that he would be spending it on transportation, right?
No, sir. He has to, as per the agreement, he has to produce the original voucher of the transportation.
Right.
Then in the helicopter that receipt.
So it's a reimbursement. See how e-rupee works. Okay. E-rupee works like this. I have different channels. For example, I can give you e-rupee voucher for a very specific purpose. The e-rupee voucher that I give you has to be redeemed for a specific thing. Here in this case, the person has already spent and he's coming to you and you're reimbursing it. Yes. You will have to flip it if you want to use e-rupee and say that I will give you e-rupee voucher in advance, okay, right? You avail the transportation service, and when you avail the transportation service, instead of paying by cash, you show him this voucher. So that means the transportation provider should be able to redeem this coupon and get the payment.
In that case, we will have to make some arrangement with our port department so that.
Yeah, exactly.
That
If that is there, the platform is ready. We can help you with that.
Sir, in that case, we will definitely explore. Sir.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Integrated with the exchange, claims exchange.
Which one? Sorry?
The eHealth of Kerala getting integrated.
It should get integrated. I mean, we will be publishing the API soon, and we'll probably have a separate session on HCX because it's a subject in itself. So idea is to have all the HMIS to get integrated with HCX so that this whole pain of hospitals in creating these claims, etc., is taken care of. If HMI, because at the end of the day, all the data that you are putting in the pre-auth or claim is data that is there, residing in the HMIS. If you are able to build a wrapper on the data that is coming out of HMIS, the wrapper will make it HCX compliant, and then you push the data. So if once that is done, then the data will flow to the payer side. So like I said, HCX is a different subject in its full subject in itself, and we will be having sessions with you all on that. And the idea is, of course, to integrate every system with HCX. Any other questions? Yes, please.
Sir, we have SEG data as well and NFSA as well. We need to match both the data, and we need to integrate them in our existing SHA database. Is it possible through the simulator which you have shown to me now, sir?
Please repeat your question.
Sir,
I didn't understand.
We have the SEG data and we have the NFSA data as well, which we are not using for the SHA. We need to just integrate that SEG data and NFSA data. So can it be done through the simulator which you have shown, sir?
By integration, you mean that you want to match these two databases and see what is like.
Yes, sir. Exactly. What are the matched?
Yes, very much. We'll give you the code. Do it.
Sure, sir.
I mean, if you want to run it yourself, you can do it.
Can we do it for our SHA data also, sir?
Yes.
Sure. Okay, sir. We'll in such case we will just explore the things, sir.
Yeah.
Sure, sir.
Okay, that is all then. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for informing us on the new IT developments. I would now like to call upon Mr. Rohit Dev Jha to brief you on the challenges in the implementation of portability. Welcome, sir. Ashish?
So good morning, everyone. I hope that you had a nice evening yesterday and then a nice morning today. So we have reassembled to talk about technical topics today. One of the topics you had just few minutes back, and that was about the new developments in the IT system of the NHA. And now I will be discussing with you some of the questions which you were asking related to the mapping of SCCC and NFSA. So the presentation is being put up. In between, I am just sharing with you that what is the philosophy behind the whole concept of this beneficiary identification, which we are now more aggressively we are trying to implement. You know, the cabinet note basis which, yeah, thank you. Hello. Am I audible? Hello. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. It's okay. So I was telling you the cabinet note basis which the Ayushman Bharat PMJY was sort of established or was formed, stated that SECC database would be the database which would be used for identifying 10.74 crore beneficiary families. But there was a caveat in the cabinet note which said that those states which are implementing the scheme with a larger beneficiary database on their own IT platform can continue to use existing database for a reasonable, the word which has been used was reasonable time period. That is the exact word, reasonable time period. And the word reasonable time period would otherwise would have meant that it is probably 1 year, 2 years, or maybe 3 years. And in the meantime, it was expected that there would be a mapping between the SECC database and the database which is used by the state. But that didn't happen. And I would not say that the reason behind it not getting translated into action was probably the inaction on the part of a state or the NHA. The reason was that there was no common identifier between SECC database and the database which was used by the state. So it was never possible to do this activity. This was one point. However, in between, even though the states who are using SECC database only, they tried their best to saturate the database. There were multiple abhiyans, or we will call sort of, Ayushman Bharat campaigns were launched across the country. And in fact, the last year we have a campaign called Aapke Dwar Ayushman, which was a very large scale campaign. In fact, this campaign has resulted in a single day we have made 8 lakhs Ayushman card, highest in a day. And over the period, before we lost the momentum because of phase 2 of the COVID, initial 3 months, January, February and March of the 2021, we have been able to create almost 3 crore cards in just 3 months. And probably if this COVID phase 2 would not have come, we would have made another 2-3 crores. Ultimately, at the end of the year, we have been able to create almost 4.21 crore cards. Now, there is a rejuvenated sort of stress on the fact that you saturate. What happened that this year, we moved a cabinet note to replace the SECC database with the NFSA database. And besides all our effort, this could not actually get materialized. And then what we were told that yes, though we understand that SECC database has a limitation, but what has yet been achieved seems too minimum and seems too less to accept the theory that SECC database is to be immediately discarded off. Okay, and because they also cited certain success, that there are certain success, and there was a disparity, or I would say that there was some, like while few states were able to achieve 50%, 60% beneficiary families, there were few who could achieve just 10% and 20%. So they said that there is this limitation which being presented right now is probably not, is little aggravated, and you should try to first saturate, and then we will try to move to a new database. That was the, underlying sort of push for us to go for another attempt to saturate the SECC database. Now what we have decided, and we have moved, I'm sure all of you have received the OMs, and this category of states who are sitting in this room are the most important category of the state for this set of OMs which we have moved, because majority of these states are not using SECC database. In fact, they are not even integrated the database into their system. So let me talk about Tamil Nadu, let me talk about Andhra Pradesh, let me talk about Telangana, Karnataka. All these states I have not integrated SECC database into their beneficiary identification system. So in fact, no attempt was made to identify any SECC beneficiary family, and that would be reflecting from the database which we would be showing you somewhere around 5, somewhere 10, 500, 200 cards have been created, and those cards have not been created within the state. These are the cards which have been created when the beneficiaries of this state have went to some other state to avail services under the portability. So in effect, no attempt was made by these states to create any Ayushman card, and I understand this was the part of the MOU which we signed with these states, wherein we agreed to continue with the database which they are using. They have been using hitherto, okay? But now we want, and this has resulted in a major problem, and the major problem was that the National Health Authority didn't get visibility about the actual utilization by the beneficiary. Who are the beneficiary who are using the services under Ayushman Bharat PMJY? That visibility was completely lost. And how do we release the fund is that we say to the state that okay, if you have spent this much money on your whole project, Okay, and if you have 100 beneficiaries, out of this, if there are 60 beneficiaries who are supported by Ayushman Bharat PMJY, I mean those are eligible SECC family. So on the 100 families which you are supporting overall, first of all, we assumed that all the 60 are the part of this 100. That was a very ideal assumption, which is not true. And there is quite a good probability that 20 to 30% beneficiary would not overlap. That is because recently one of the states, that is Uttar Pradesh, has an integrated Antyodaya Anna Yojana, that is 40 lakh beneficiary family with us. And what we observed, that in that case the overlap is not that, still there must be around 10 lakh families who are not overlapping with the SECC database. Though Antyodaya family represents the bottom 5% of the country. Okay, so there is clearly this assumption that the database which is used by the state and the SECC database do not overlap 100%. There is 10 to 20% of non-overlap. This was a false assumption. This was the first one. The second one was that what it resulted into is that I was telling you that if there are 100 beneficiaries which the state is supporting, and out of these, if center is supporting 60, we say that okay, if on the 100 beneficiaries you are spending 100 rupees, then we'll assume that out of this 60 rupees is spent on the PMJY beneficiary, and out of this 60, if we are paying you 60 rupees, 60 multiplied by 60, we'll pay you 36 rupees, without any understanding about who are the beneficiaries who are availing the treatment. So the philosophy goes well. This is because ultimately we want to ensure that the beneficiaries are availing treatment. That's perfectly okay. There is no there is no pain about that we are just paying money. But the point is that we also need to get little more. We require data. We require consumption data for these beneficiary families to be fed into our IT system, to run this NAFU trigger, to run multiple, to take policy initiatives to further see that how this is like, we also need to, like in some of the states, in fact Andhra is here, Andhra is spending 2200 crore rupees. And this is, we have very classical examples across the world where this insurance has spiraled out of the hand, and if we do not put proper checks and balance in terms of supply and demand. So all of Andhra is providing a bouquet of services, that's perfectly okay, but at the center level, we could not get the NFSA data migration. One of the reason was that the financial constraint. Yesterday also there was a question by in the quiz that whether, what is the biggest constraint to the USC, and the fund was one of the reason. So while the center is very much committed to go out for USC, but we also need to see that that is not leading to a financial burden which will be sort of, it cannot be continued or sustained over the time. And that is why we need data for everything. We need information that who are the beneficiaries who are utilizing these services, and that is why this whole SECC tagging concept has come. Now what is this concept? I will go to the PPT, but I think I will better explain you the theory, what we are expecting now. So there are two categories of the states. One, who are using SECC database, and that includes now of the 8 states sitting in this room right now, those states who are also using SECC, this is Kerala, Lakshadweep, Andaman Nicobar, and Puducherry. These are the 3 UTs and fourth state who are using the SECC database. The other 4, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, and Karnataka, they are not using SECC database. So well, we are not really pushing you to use the SECC database. We are okay that you do not use the SECC database. But what we are expecting from you is that whatever beneficiaries you have, whatever databases you are having, at least give us, you randomly select. Suppose we have 50 lakh SECC beneficiaries, okay, and you are implementing from a database of 1 crore. We are asking you of this 1 crore, just identify 50 lakh beneficiaries, tag them as SECC, and give it to us. You can tag anyone. It is up to you. You can tag the most utilized one. You can tag who are not using the services. This is your choice. However, we request you to ensure a couple of things. That is, there should be some kind of demographic uniformity, in the sense that we do not want that you give us 10 districts and remaining 20 you do not give us. We want you that give us beneficiaries from all the districts. We want give us beneficiaries across the age profile, give us beneficiaries across the gender profile. Okay, and the second 2 things, the gender profile and age profile becomes little irrelevant, because anyway you are giving us families, not the individuals. Okay, so the most important thing is that you match the data with respect to the district. So if there are 100 beneficiaries in a particular district, we would request you to kindly tag 100 beneficiaries in whatever database you are using in that particular district. Unless you have a lesser number, you can migrate to another database. Okay, so that is the whole concept of this SCCC tagging. Okay, now there would be certain states who probably can do, they have the IT capability to do this. Those who do not have the IT capabilities, we are here to do it for you. And on the 1st of April, we have issued an OM wherein we have said that what you have to do, you have to share with us your beneficiary database, all your complete beneficiary database. And most of you have shared, barring Telangana, which is in the process. Even Andhra Pradesh is there. Andhra Pradesh database is there. Tamil Nadu database is not with us. BIS data is not with us. Kindly share that with the BIS API. After that, what we will do, we will implement this whole process. That is, we will, in each of the district, we will see that how many beneficiaries are there, SCCC beneficiaries. We will tag those SCCC beneficiaries from randomly tag across the district and share that list with you that we have tagged this much. You may change that database, or you may give us a concurrence that, okay, fine, we are fine with this tagging. You can sort of go ahead with this tagging, and in our system, these beneficiaries would be tagged as centrally sponsored beneficiaries. We will not call it SCCC, we will call it centrally sponsored. And in the TMS system, which we will also integrate, so we will be knowing that on these beneficiaries, how much money is actually being utilized. On these beneficiaries, how many of them have availed the services. This is the whole concept of tagging. And we are expecting this to be completed by the end of this month. This is for all across the country. We are expecting this to be completed by the end of this month. So that was the tagging thing. Now, once tagging is done, the second activity which has to be done in this case is we will be issuing a co-branded card to all these beneficiaries. I will show you I will just pass through the presentation because all the content I'm already speaking here right now. So what we are going to do here is that we have created a co-branded card, and let me tell you, it is 100% co-branded, and it has no sort of bias in favor of anything. It is completely bias-free, much more improvised version than the previous one. So we are using tricolor. So tricolor is our national flag. We have given the slot for the state logo and 2 state logos, and of the same size as that of the national logo. We want you to, we give you the freedom, not give you the freedom, it is basically the part of the design that you can use English would be a compulsory language because beneficiaries has to go for portability services. Then that language will be the local language, that is in case of Tamil Nadu it will be Tamil. Okay, so this is completely co-branded. We just want that the beneficiaries whom we are supporting should have idea that you are the part of the PMJY ecosystem. This is first important thing, and I am being candid about that. The second one is that whenever they are going to avail the services across the country, across the state, from their state to another state, they should not face any problem with respect to beneficiary identification. Now what is happening, which I will be making a presentation about portability, is that whenever one person from Lakshadweep is coming to Tamil Nadu, is coming to Kerala, now Kerala is using our co-branded card. Now take another example. So ma'am has shared a data and that is showing an increasing trend. Andaman people is coming from Andaman to Tamil Nadu. Unless there is a person who is certifying that yes, he is a PMJY beneficiary, that person has to make rounds and rounds to ensure that I am the PMJY beneficiary. And this problem is primarily because there is no uniformity. There is no semblance at least. There should be some semblance. We are not really pushing for a very hard push uniformity, but some kind of semblance which establishes that yes, all of these are part of PMJY ecosystem. And let me tell you one more thing, that is being done across the schemes. This is not something which is done for PMJY. This is being done for across the schemes. For this, now going further step, for this we are willing to pay 100%. NHA will be paying 100% for this. And if a state, like we have received a proposal from Karnataka that they want to issue a co-branded card to all their beneficiaries, 100%, even going beyond the SCCC, and we will be paying 100% cost for the co-branded card. We have CSC, that is Common Service Center, onboarded on our platform. We have UTI ITSL onboarded on our platform. We have another 2 agencies, that is in the southern region they are JFIR and Color Plast, if I recall it correctly, and we have signed MOU. You do not have to do anything. You just have to issue a work order. No financial approval is required from anyone. Yes, administrative approval is required to undertake this activity. Once you are done, we will be sort of responsible for complete financial process, and also the platform which would be used for creation of this card is also ready with us. One of the activity which Kiran sir was sharing some time back, I will explain you also about that. So this is the whole, this presentation is all about. I will show you something, run past through, but this is what I wanted to present here. Another thing which was sort of talked about, that there was simulator which Kiran sir was showing. What is the simulator? I will explain it little more, at a little more length. There are other schemes of the government of India who are also using SECC database. That is Ujjwala scheme, that is Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. In those schemes, they have identified certain beneficiaries. Like in case of Ujjwala, they have identified 3 crore SECC, and in case of PMAY, they have identified 50 lakh beneficiaries. These are verified beneficiaries. So what we are doing, we are importing the updated information about those beneficiaries from that system to our system, including their Aadhaar number. And you must have seen that there were lots of correspondence with Aadhaar. 3 months or 4 months back, there was a restriction imposed by Aadhaar that 2 ministries cannot share Aadhaar with each other. That was a very, strange sort of thing. But the CONHA has pushed it very hard. He wrote op-eds, he went to everyone to ensure that Aadhaar can be exchanged across the ministries. And now this has been made a reality. So some OM came and we said that all of us work in the name of the President of India, and so all of us constitute a single unit. Thereby we can share Aadhaar with each other without any restriction. Though there was some consent requirement and all that is some few formalities. Otherwise we can share. So what we have Aadhaar corresponding to these 3 crore Ujjwala beneficiary and PMAY with us. Now what we are doing, we are taking Aadhaar from this, and Ujjwala and Awas Yojana both have only one beneficiaries. They do not have the family as a concept. So only one person in the family, the eldest lady, gets the cylinder, gas cylinder, Ujjwala. Similarly, the house is registered in the name of the eldest lady in the house. Okay, so there is only one beneficiary, and we have one Aadhaar and one SECC ID, that is household ID. We take the Aadhaar from here, push it to NFSA data, that is ration card data, and from there we import the details of all the family members corresponding to that Aadhaar. Thereby, while we get the 3 crore Aadhaar number from Ujjwala, we are getting 15 crore Aadhaar number from NFSA corresponding to those Ujjwala beneficiaries. 3 multiplied by 4 or 5, that is 15 crore. So now in our database we have Aadhaar corresponding to 15 crore beneficiaries. Now what is this simulator doing? We are whenever a card is being created, what we are doing, we are putting 2 tables in front of the card creator. One with the SECC beneficiary family, HHI ID, household ID, another with the ration card beneficiary family. And the system proposes that this person in the SECC is matching with this person in the ration card. And the approver has to say yes or no. If he says yes, it is okay. If they say no, it may go to another level of approval. But this is what the simulator is planning to do. So what we will do in between also, because we have this Ujjwala data, and those states who have collected Aadhaar, we will share with you that kindly check your system that whether this Aadhaar number exists in your database, and thereby outrightly these are the SECC beneficiaries which you have already verified and exist in your system. So therefore, basically states have to do nothing. States are required to do nothing. They just have to share database with us and then facilitate in Ayushman card creation. That is what a state has to do. I hope I am able to explain this whole concept of beneficiary tagging. I will quickly run past through this presentation. So now this is the different kind of databases which are used by different states. All of you are knowing this. The yellow color is additional families which are supported by the states, and the gray color is those which are supported by under SECC. This is the database which we are using. Now I told about you that we will be supporting you all out in terms of Ayushman card creation. We have agencies for which we will be paying you. We have card approval agency, card creation agency, for which we will be paying you, paying them directly. We will not be, states would not be required to spend even a penny on that whole transaction. So you do not require financial approval. You just require administrative approval. Now these are the 4 initiatives. I will talk about it later. Now this is what I wanted to show. Kindly see here that of the beneficiaries, आपने PPT नहीं change किया, same PPT is going on here. Kindly see the first row of the table there. We can see in Andhra Pradesh just 69 SECC beneficiary family have been verified. In Karnataka 463. Kerala is using our system, thereby they have the SECC beneficiary verified 1.64 lakhs because they are primarily using RSBI data, and RSBI data is also PMJY approved data. Tamil Nadu has 616 beneficiaries, Andaman Nicobar at 39,000, Lakshadweep 1900, and Puducherry has 1.34 lakh beneficiary family. So while we noted on the concern of the Lakshadweep that they have internet issue in their state, in the UT, no, just leave that. Okay. So that we are like we will take care of. So you can see that hardly, not even 0.00001% of the beneficiary family have been verified in these states because the database itself is not being used. Going forward, I have explained you the tagging, whole concept of tagging. I reiterate here that you will be sharing the beneficiary database with us, or you can keep it to yourself. And of the beneficiary database, what you are going to do, for each of the district, you will have SECC numbers, and in your database, you can identify those many family in your database and tag them as centrally sponsored. Share those beneficiary families with us. We will sort of incorporate in our IT system, and then whatever expenditure is being made corresponding to this beneficiary family, we will be paying you. I just want to bring to your kind notice one more thing, that for 1st of July, we will not be paying, NHA will not be paying on a pro rata basis. It has been decided with the governing board of NHA, and we have to complete this whole tagging business by the end of the April, and by the June we have to saturate the card creation. That is an instruction from the top, and we do not have any bandwidth to negotiate or renegotiate that. So this I explained to you that whole process of and this is required to ensure compliance with the cabinet directions. Audit, the CAG has done a complete audit of PMJY, and they have sort of blasted us for that you are just throwing money. You do not have any idea that who are the beneficiaries who are using the funds for which the funds are being used. So we also require to comply with the CAG guideline, and that had come from there also. Now, co-branded card I talked about. This is the card, this is the new card design which we got approved. Initially our card was of only one color, that was of orange color. Now we have this tricolor, that is the national flag, the saffron on the top, the white and the green color. This is the card design. Also we can see that there are two logos for the SHA of the same size as that of the PMJY logo. Initially the PMJY logo was little larger on the right side corner. Now we have reduced it and brought it at par with the size of the state logo. We are very sensitive towards the the administrative and the political requirement of the state, and that is why we are trying to ensure that whatever we are presenting here should not lead to any kind of complication for anyone. And this is also, you can see in the bottom, we are clearly writing the name of the central scheme and the state scheme, both in the local language and in the English language. So it will be Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Yojana, CMCHIS, and whatever it is. Okay. On the back of it, the instruction would be similar to whatever you want. We are amenable to write whatever instructions you are. Some basic instruction from our side. Rest whatever you want. You can, if you have your own app, you can put your app, and everything is okay. So this side, everything is like configurable. You can configure this. And apart from that, we also have come with this OpenBIS. That's not very relevant for this crowd because you are not using SECC database. This OpenBIS is for those states who are using SECC. They can, and Lakshadweep may use it. That again the internet problem would come, but barring that, anyone can themselves go visit the Ayushman. We have developed BIS 2.0. Anyone can go and create their card themselves. They do not require to visit any CSC, Common Service Center, or hospital or anywhere. They can just go do a bio authentication or bio OTP and get their card done. So this is all for. This is primarily no. Those who are using NHA's IT platform. So if you have a larger database and you are using our IT platform and you want to throw it open for SECC, we can decide. We have decided that we are throwing it open. For other beneficiary categories of beneficiary, it is the state's prerogative to decide, and if they are okay with, we are perfectly fine. We can make you available for that. This is all for the BIS beneficiary identification system. I'm here to answer your queries if any. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Now, one clarity that we require is that you will be tagging equivalent number which is there in the SCCD data.
Yes.
Not larger to that.
Yes, sir.
And then you said you will name them as the central beneficiary.
Yes, sir.
Now,
Centrally sponsored.
in terms of service provision, will there be any difference to them from the beneficiary, or they will be an inferior level compared to these whom you have tagged?
Okay, sir. So there won't be anything for the beneficiary. Beneficiary would not even know, barring the fact that they will have another card in their pocket. That is the
So
only change.
will the card be different for them, or it should
Card
not create a system of
no, sir. In case of your
center
case,
versus state?
sir, in your case, we have received a request from Karnataka that they want to issue a co-branded card to all the beneficiaries.
Correct.
And we are here to issue the same
Okay,
card.
so card will remain same.
Same
It
card.
is only at the back end your
Yes,
database
sir,
will
yes,
have
sir.
these two
Yes,
lists.
sir. Yes, sir. It's just for the sharing of the fund.
Okay, this request has already reached you regarding the
Yes, sir.
co-branded
We have received some received some.
No, is it any formal
Yes, sir. Yes,
process
sir.
through
Yes,
which
sir,
you?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. From your state, some clarification have been sought, and there was a governing board meeting with the chief secretary, sir, and where it was decided that we will be using this.
Okay, okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you, sir. Anyone else? Andhra table.
Sir,
Please, bataiye.
54 lakh SEC data,
Ji.
and out of which we have able to match 30 lakh families with our SHA database.
Okay.
Remaining 24 lakh database, we are trying to tag from the existing SHA.
If you
Sir,
have
is
done
it okay? Is it okay to map only these 24 lakh, or can we map all the entire 54 with the existing SHA?
If you have done a tabletop exercise to map 30 lakhs, that is a huge achievement, and we'll be more than happy to sort of to import those data and as the tagged beneficiaries. That's a very happy situation.
Then
So-
this 24 lakh is enough to map from the
Yeah,
SHA.
that's fair enough. 30 lakhs up. You please give us 30 lakhs those map which you have achieved through a tabletop mapping, and then the 25 lakhs random tagging you give us.
No, that 30 lakhs also done through the survey itself, through the field survey itself.
But then those, if you want to, if you have been able to identify those 30 lakhs, that's a very happy situation for us. If you have not been able to, even then you tag the beneficiaries 54 lakhs and give it to us. So we want just numbers, 54 lakhs numbers, 54 lakh families, that's it.
Okay.
All, sir.
Rohit, just the clarification we are seeking is, we have 54 lakh in the SEC database.
Yes, sir.
So there was a on-ground check of all the 54 which happened,
Yes, sir.
and 30 lakh odd could be successfully identified.
Yes, sir.
So in the circulars of NHA also, it was mentioned that the beneficiaries which are enlisted in the SEC database have to be verified, and then they'll become eligible.
Yes, sir.
So going by that definition, we have 30 lakh found, verified and eligible people.
Yes, sir.
So that leaves me with a balance of 24 lakh people.
Right, sir.
So the question is, should I confine tagging to these 24, or can I take all 54 en masse from my ration card or NFSA database?
Sir, this 30 lakh beneficiary which you are telling, sir, if you have already identified, that's
Right.
a very great situation for us, sir.
Okay.
And we would directly import those 30 lakhs into our system to see
Right.
that these are the beneficiaries.
Right.
Okay, and the remaining 24, you may do the tagging exercise and give us the data.
Right.
Sir, Vipul sir, बताएं, sir. You want to say something? Mic दीजिए sir, please.
So Vinay, the 30 lakh that you have been able to map or identify on the ground, have you like identified them with their Aadhaar cards, or they have just been identified that this?
They have been identified with their Aadhaar cards.
So the basic prerequisite is that it is not on the basis of individuals; it is on the basis of families that we are doing the mapping.
Yes, sir.
So if you have been, so these 30 lakh are families or individuals?
Families, sir.
So yeah, good. So the remaining 24 lakhs now SCCC, if you've been able to identify on the ground, then we would give the first priority. You cannot say that all 54 lakhs I'll import from NFSA.
Right.
So so many as you have been able to identify from SEC data, those have to be tagged and those have to be compulsorily brought in.
Understood.
And 24 lakhs you'll randomly choose from NFSA for tagging.
Got it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. In fact, this is a very pleasant surprise, sir. We were not even aware about this activity. That 30 lakhs have been mapped. Sir, we'll discuss about that. That's a very good thing, sir. Anything else about the BIS? Okay. So thank you, everyone, and we solicit your kind support to complete this exercise by 30th April. Thank you very much.
We move forward with a tea break for 15 minutes. Kameshwar Rao, followed by Dr. Ruchira.
Yeah. No, that's all. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kameshwar Rao. I'm the Executive Director in Monitoring and Research Division at NHA. And also the National Anti-Fraud Unit comes under the Monitoring and Research. We have a small yet dedicated research division, monitoring and research division at NHA. Let me begin this. As we travel today on information superhighway, I don't know whether superhighway is still the right word for it, because the word which was used many years ago, maybe it is much more beyond superhighway nowadays, where the data is thrown at us at such a volume, at such a variety and velocity. We need to be able to assimilate the information that is coming to us and bring out the analytics of the data to really bring out the insights. So this is what we do at monitoring and evaluation. So every data tells a story, and that story actually solves business problems. And we have the analytics team doing such, bringing out such stories and trying to solve business problems at various divisions and try to analyze the data that is coming from the SHS. So today, and besides the data analytics, we also have a research division, a young team actually, which is doing from within NHA different research projects. So actually we recently completed, on the eve of International Women's Day, we did a study on gender equality in PMJ. And we are very glad to say that there is a gender equality maintained at, in PMJAY. We also recently completed a study on CABG utilization that brought out a lot of information. It was actually a mixed method study wherein we did a primary data analysis as well as the secondary data of the utilization. And our young team actually could mark Kaplan-Meier survival curves out of the data. And it was very interesting to see the data, which we'll be publishing very soon. So that is part of the research that is being done within NHA. We also do research outside NHA, with the help of our partners like World Bank or GIZ or WHO. So there are a lot of insights or the research results that come, and then we loop it back in designing the policies. And so this is basically what I would say evidence-based policy making. And the monitoring division also does capacity building at NHA and SHA, and at various district levels also. Behind all this is a variety of dashboards that are created at the monitoring division. Of course, this is the data architecture which was already shown in the morning by Kiran Gopalji. This is how the data flows into the National Data Warehouse from BIS, HEM and TMS. So this data is again used for all different analytical purposes. So these are the types of dashboards which are maintained. One is the Insights dashboard, which now Dr. Ruchira ma'am will be explaining that, which is basically covering the operations, what we call the operations dashboard. There is an impact portal which talks about the claims analysis, where we derive the information about the TATs, and of course, there is a radar and facts for dashboards, which are of related to the medical audits and the anti-fraud unit activities. So that will be covering up in a subsequent presentation. So for right now, I request Dr. Ruchira Agarwal to present on the Insights dashboard. So one more thing before ma'am takes up. There's a lot of data that is there in the that is coming into the National Data Warehouse, and I completely agree with Dr. Ratan Kelkar sir when he said yesterday that we need to unlock the value within this data and bring insights. And he mentioned about the burden of chronic disease, estimating the burden of chronic disease. So we'd be really happy to enter into any collaborative kind of research. And in my own belief and understanding, the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning, it has a large role to play, especially using the natural language processing. We can derive a lot of valuable information from the data that is lying in our claims records. So that is one thing which I want to say before ma'am takes up. Please. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Ruchira Agarwal, and I lead the Monitoring and Research Division under NHA, under Dr. Kameshwar Rao. So we have a small team of data analytics people who are working at NHA on both, as Sir said, on the insights, specifically on insights dashboards, which are mostly monitoring and reporting dashboards on specific KPIs for looking into the PMJY scheme. And besides these KPIs for reporting purposes and monitoring purposes, we are also using these dashboards for detailed analytics and research purposes to do various researches across the scheme, across all the 33 states who are with us, as well as some state-specific KPIs which might stand out as outliers in certain areas. And we would be very happy to collaborate, to coordinate, or even if you want us to do it for you, some specific areas where you're looking for greater insights, the team at NHA, the analytics team, would be very happy to support you there. If you just send us a request, we'll go ahead with that. Also, before I start with that, on the onset, these are the dashboards which are currently existing at NHA, but as Kiran Gopal sir had already pointed out, that we are in the process of updating all these dashboards and also creating an open source architecture where most of the data we can put on the public dashboard forum, where it would be easily accessible. It will not be login based and can be used across all cross sections for any research purposes that are available. Besides those dashboards, we will continue. The public dashboards would be there, but there are certain KPIs which need to be monitored internally by the SHAs. So we will continue having a set of login-based dashboards, which will be very, very specific and very detailed according to the requirements of the scheme. So when I talk about the insights dashboards, the basic idea of these dashboards was to support us when we want to look into analytics at a geographic level. That is, if we want to look into analytics for the specific to states, districts, and we have a dashboard that goes down detail into a village level analytics also. So all the areas, geographies we have tried to cover there. Then again, we want to see target geographies, whether we are looking for gender or we are looking for any other specific use cases. Those are also highlighted in those, we have provided filters for those. Then times, because again, we would like to, when we are monitoring the performance, whether it is day-wise, week-wise, quarterly, monthly, yearly, so whatever the timelines you are looking for, we have provided for those. And anyways, if you have some more requirements, you can always direct those directly to the insights team at NHA, and we would be very happy to support you there also. Besides, then we have all the detailed data on enrollment, how the enrollment process is happening, at what level, what are the approvals, what are the auto approvals. So all that data is also housed in one of the specific dashboards that we have. Then the TMS data, the utilization data, whether it is according to the state, according to procedures, speciality, portability, all that is housed there. then HEM, the hospital data, the size of hospitals, the activity of the hospitals, what specialities they are offering, how much work they are doing, all that is also housed on one of the dashboards. And lastly, and most importantly, data regarding to claim processing. So we have a completely separate portal there, which talks about only when the claim is raised and until it is paid. That whole life cycle it captures on the submission part, then the queries, what are the TATs there, if there are, at what levels those queries have been raised. We are also in the process, we have a separate impact team which is doing a detailed analysis also of the queries that are raised, what kind of queries are being raised, to see and to understand maybe if we can address those queries in the systems itself, or we can include them in the systems, so that we would not like unlikely queries to be raised. So that kind of analysis also is being done by the NHA team at the central level, to see and understand why these queries are being raised. And there is a dedicated team that is working on to improve how we can bring down the TAT at the national level and also at the state levels. So when you log into the portal, the NHA Insights portal, the landing page shows you around 7 dashboards, out of which 6 dashboards are dynamic live dashboards, and there is one dashboard that we have created for the SECC database, since that was the base database that we were using. So that is a static dashboard, but what we have tried to provide there, since a lot of times we want to look into the demographic details, the basic indicators of the population that we were already provided with. So that gives us those baselines. So all the SECC data is housed there for you, where you can work on it on a state level. You can see how much is the eligibility population. Then according to the various classification types of SECC, as you all know, we have a D1, D2, D3 according to the deprivation criteria classification. So we have divided the population according to those deprivation criteria also. So you can see in your state, if you want to see D1 mein kitne log hain, how many people are in the D1 criteria, you can see that also. So those are static numbers, but we have put all that analytics there on the SECC dashboard for you. And besides these, the 6 live dashboards which house the various indicators that I was talking about right now. So these are the 6 dashboards that I will quickly run you through. And in case there are any queries, or in case you want something from us, you can let us know. We will be very happy to incorporate that also. So I'm starting with the first dashboard. When you enter the homepage, that is this SDP dashboard, or the state district performance dashboard. This is the first page on that is basically an overview page, which gives you indicators. If you see, this has indicators on card creation. It lets you know how many cards have been created today, and this is a national page that we have showed. So on an overall page, then what was whether they are Aadhaar verified or not, how many approvals are pending, at what level they are pending. Then small minute things like how many cards have been issued per minute, or pre-auths that have been requested per minute. Then pre-auth types by public, private, what kind of specializations are being used more. Claims, again an overview of how many claims have been submitted, what is the claim overdue amount. Very importantly, if you look at the number of claims submitted, then how much of them have been processed and how many are still lying in the various buckets at whether it is the ISA, SHA level. And lastly, how many impaneled hospitals you have, and also it's easy to not easy I would say, but we can impanel hospitals, but very importantly to ensure that those hospitals are working with us also. So we are constantly trying to see whether those hospitals are working with us also, how much is the activity level of those hospitals. So we've defined 3 activity levels here for you, maybe 1 pre-auth, 5 pre-auth last month overall. So we try to track those also. And then we have a dedicated hospital operations team at NHA, which is working with those hospitals on understanding what issues they might be facing in the working, and where we can improve our working also. So they're giving us constant policy feedback also on how to improve our working at the central level also. Besides these, the above part is a central overview of the scheme, and all these indicators we can see state-wise below as you see the charts. And going ahead, if you see, I can filter all of them according to the state. I can see if I want to see Ayushman card data, if I want to see pre-auth data, if I'm looking for claim data. So it gives me an overview wherein I can see, as far as all the states are concerned, where do I stand there also. So it gives you an overview of your overall placement, and We have a filter for the state specific also. You can select the state and you can look into all these details for your state only if you want to see. So it opens with an overview page at the national level, but we have those filters at the side where you can select the filters for the state level and you can see all the KPIs that have been stated on that particular dashboard for your particular state. Again, all these charts, all this data is downloadable. Very important, we have the option here that you can download the associated data that is flowing into these charts. So if you want to run more analytics on your end, you have that data with you and you can, as you want, you can slice, dice, cut the data and get the insights that you are looking for in case they are not being provided here. So that option has also been given to you. You can convert that data into different types of into different visuals. If you want, you can convert it into tables. Again, you can slice it according to year, week, month, whatever is the reporting that you are looking for. Accordingly, you can customize the data for your requirement and download it from there. So like we are showing, we have the export data, we have filters, we have show as tables. So all these things have already been incorporated in all these dashboards that are there. But since there are a lot of these all these states that are available here, one thing very important to power these dashboards, we need the complete data. If the data is not there with us, if the data is incomplete, then what we reflect will be what we have at the back end. So we do get a lot of requests, or I would say a lot of complaints also at times that the dashboard is not reflecting what it should. So though we try to maintain the consistency at all times with the National Data Warehouse, which is the main feed for all the data that flows from all the systems, but unless and until we have quality clean data that is being fed into the systems, the dashboards are just a reflection of what is there. It is a way of showing what the data is already there. We do not create that data. We are just analyzing and giving it a view, and giving it a view so that it can be analyzed and it can be logically interpreted. So what is very, very important, which is that the data that is being fed into all the systems is validated, and we ensure that the data is clean and validated. Only then the dashboards will show the results, or will have the kind of analytics that we are looking for. Then a more detailed dashboard is the procedure hospital dashboard, wherein we can see the data for specialties. We can see it again, which states are doing well, which are the top states as far as procedures, what are the pre-auths that have been done. We can see the top hospitals also. And we can filter this data according to the requirement of specialty. So if I want to see in the medical specialty, I can filter it out for only medical. If I want to see oncology, I can filter out this data only for oncology specialty, oncology, all these procedures that are in oncology. And then I can also put a filter for my state. So I can see oncology for the state of Andhra Pradesh, again for the time period that I'm looking for. If I'm looking for this week, I'm looking for the month, I'm looking for the year, and I can also filter it out for that hospital. If I'm looking for a particular hospital, I can put that filter of a hospital and see in that hospital how many pre-auths have been raised, for what specialty they have been raised, when they have been raised. So all those features are there, and we keep doing these trainings on how to use and maximize and take out most of these dashboards, because we have tried, we have worked hard to ensure that everything is housed there for the use of the states. Again, time and again, especially for reporting, you need the trends that are there. What have been the utilization trends, whether it is public, private, overall, on a monthly basis, daily basis. Again, for analysis, very important when we are looking into procedures and specialties is the age buckets. So we have tried, what we have done is now we have aligned our age buckets with the national sample survey data base, so that you can actually have a benchmark, and you can, when you're looking for analyzing the data, you can somewhere use a benchmark from the national scheme survey database and see our data in the light of those indicators also. So the hospital empanelment dashboard is specific to features and KPIs regarding hospital empanelment. It lets you know, again, what are the various types of hospital, count of hospital, bed strength. Again, I will like to reiterate here, it depends on the data that is flowing in. So if the bed strength has not been stated by the hospital, then it will show a blank, because that is something we cannot add the data. We just use the data as is if we fed into the system there. Again, you can see, like you are seeing the table below, the beds, the again availability of beds. Also in the master, we have a complete master table there, hospital-wise. You can download this table. It shows you whether that hospital was active last month or not. It shows you, again, how many pre-auths that hospital has raised, how many claims that hospital has. And it also gives you the last date, when was the last pre-auth raised. So we have reached that granularity there. And you can filter it according to as many fields as you want. Or there are around 15 fields in this table, and you can put filters on each individual field there. So again, this is one master that we have created where when you're looking for hospital empanelment, anything and everything that you are looking for, you can get, and you can slice this data in this table and get the report that you are looking for. Again, very welcome. We would be very open for any feedbacks, anything that you need that we should include, or any other way we can improve these dashboards also. Weekly trends of empaneled hospitals, like I said, we keep doing that. Then there is a specific dashboard that we have created in order to see portability. Portability being a very important feature of the scheme. So both interstate, intrastate portability, you can filter this dashboard, whether you want to see within the state, from one district to the other, if you want to see how people are traveling, for what specialty they are traveling, from what hospital they are traveling to what hospital. So you can see until this granularity here on this dashboard. Again, the procedure types, the patient gender, age groups, all those things we have tried to include here in this dashboard, but this is very specific only to portability cases in the scheme. I'll reiterate here, all these dashboards that I talked about, all this data that is shown through various visuals, you can download the data. You will get the actual raw data tables which are at the back end. So you can use those. A very specific dashboard, I would say caveat here is, this dashboard has been created only on the SECC database. Since the village level information we had only for the SECC database that was provided to us, the detailed level wherein at the village level I can know what are the beneficiaries which are available, target beneficiary population was there, and then we have tried to map out in that village how many cards have been given, again when was the last e-card issued, and also then we have seen how many people have taken treatment in that village and when was the last pre-auth raised in that village. So like I said, this is only for the SECC population. If you can give us your state databases with this granularity, we can create a similar dashboard for you. We are quite open to doing that. I will also show you, because this is one dashboard we have used widely for doing analytics in order to see what are the geographies which are untouched, in order to see which are the geographies where what kind of treatments are happening, and as Dr. Kelkar said, we can add another layer on that where when we want to see a global disease burden. So you will be able to see what are the geographies where a particular specialty is being used more, what is not being used where. So you just need to add those layers on those, the basic eligibility criteria that has already been set there at the village level. The last dashboard that I'm showing you here is the impact dashboard, which talks about, this is specific only to the part from the raising of the claim until the claim is paid. So we are capturing only that part of the cycle here in detail at every level. So how many claims were raised, when they were raised, have they been submitted, if they have been rejected, if they have been paid. So all those trends we are capturing. You can filter this dashboard also according to the state. You can filter it according to the ISA, TPA, if you are looking to see the performance of a specific party there. So we have those filters also. And besides that, because very important is to manage the claim, TAT that is in the scheme, that is one of the major KPIs that we have to see. So we've also bucketed all the claims that have been paid up till now. So what are the various time periods in which they have been paid? So it just shows us the mirror also. So when we say we have a TAT of 15 days, So are we paying our claim in 15 days? And how many days are we paying? So what is the percentage of claims I'm paying in 15 days? What is the percentage of claims I'm paying in maybe 15 to 30 days? What is the percentage I'm paying in 45 to 100 days? And what is the percentage of claims ahead of that? So it's just a way of understanding where we are right now, and from this only we can drive the policy and what are the areas of improvement that we need. So these are the 6 basic dashboards that we have. This was a small demo. If we are looking for something specific, like if we are looking for beneficiaries, if I want to see in the state of Meghalaya, all I need to do is, these are the drop downs. So you can see the eligible population, Ayushman card, families, and whatever is the area that you're looking for, you just click on that and you select the state from the state filters, and you shall get, or you can select the state directly from this, and you will get like I was looking for the beneficiaries verified for the state of Meghalaya last week. The week filter is on one side, and we can get the data that we are looking for here. So again, just one small, you can put n number of filters. I have just put 2 filters here. You can put any number. I can look at this data for public, private, gender. I can put all of them together. So it's not like you can put one filter, you have to unselect the other filter. You can keep slicing the data into smaller groups as and when you want. Similarly, I think I'll just move ahead. For portability, if you're looking from which state, what is the hospital state, which is the patient state, you can select. It gives you an option to select both the states. Again, the new portability dashboard that we have made, we have included the granularity up to the district level. You can see from one district to the other where they are moving, from one village to the other where the patient is moving, and for what specialty he's taking treatment, which hospital he went to. So you can see all those granularities there in that particular this particular dashboard. Again, you can slices for the state, for the year, for the specialty, procedure, whatever you can think of or whatever you're looking for. I'm sure you can find the data here. Then there are some specific state dashboards which were made for the requirement of the specific state users, because there are a lot of indicators maybe at the national KPI level we might not want to see, but for the state they are very important. So they would want to probably see when they are creating cards, till the user level they want to see which user has created how many cards. So we had given them that view also, that they can see till the last mile granularity as far as card creation is needed on the various KPIs which were requested by the states. So these are now state specific dashboards, and the login for these are only with that state. So if this is a state dashboard for a particular state, only that state will have access to this dashboard. The rest of the states, the rest of the 6 dashboards that I had shown, they are open login based dashboards, but we have given logins to all the states. So you can see those dashboards. But this you will only see only for your state. Again, why these dashboards and how these dashboards are being used or can be used. At NHA we are using them. I'm sure the states are also using them. So we can use them to drive our IEC campaigns, because we can identify geographies where we need to issue more cards, identify geographies on basis of specialities, on basis of gender, on basis of what are the disease burden in that area, and make targeted IEC campaigns in those areas. BIS drives on areas which have been untouched. We have village level data where we can see number of villages which have 0 e-cards. So we know where we can focus on when we are doing our BIS campaigns. Same for the hospitals. We can see areas where hospital empanelment is lacking. Also areas where maybe we have empaneled hospitals, but the hospitals are not working. So even though there are hospitals there, they are inactive. They are not working with the scheme. So all those insights can be used to drive the policy there. Then admissions, why they are performing low, and again, to identify what are the problems, like I said, for the TAT or the time, the turnaround time. And we have added a query dashboard specifically here also. So just a small case study, when I said that we use this particular dashboard, can be used for both IEC campaigns in order to target geographies, as well for card creation, as well as to see what are the areas where the utilization, what are the pockets where utilization is more or less. So we had done a small analysis for Haryana here, where we were wanting to see what are the districts where large number of cards were not created, or what are the focus areas they wanted, focus districts where they can drive their BIS card generation campaigns. Similarly, we had also created a similar profile for them to understand what is the treatment, where the treatments are happening. I've just used two of these here. We have a layer here where we have added specialty, we have added procedures to these basic treatment amounts to see the pockets which might be untouched. On this, we have also added hospitals. So it is around a 15-20 slide analysis that we have. So we have added another layer to see what are the hospitals which are impaneled. So when we say that no treatment has happened in these red areas, so is it because there are no impaneled hospitals in these areas, or there are impaneled hospitals but they are not working, or that particular specialty is not available? So all those filters we have added in this particular analysis. So this was, we had done on the request of the state, and then we had again identified based on the card creation and the utilization, what might be the focus districts where targeted campaigns can be undertaken. So just a small analysis, all the data was there on the dashboard itself. I have not taken out anything from the warehouse here. So I was not querying any data, anything specially which I had to take, which NHA only has and the state doesn't have. So all this data is there for you on the dashboard itself. It is just that how we want to take it out and how we want to use it for analysis. So thank you so much, and we also hope that we have made all this data information available to you, and let us all convert it into good insights, useful insights for all of us. I'll just inform you on one new feature that we are adding into our dashboards and also into the public dashboards, that we are integrating MapMyIndia also into our dashboards. So the kind of maps that we had created here. So you can easily convert all this data into, and if you want to see it on a map, all you will have to do is just toggle between a table and a map, and you can see the same data on the map. And that map will again have the features where you can see it on a national level, you can take it to your state, to the district, and you can add all these features there for you. So we are hoping in another maybe 2 to 3 months, we should be able to provide you that feature also. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Next, we have Dr. Kameshwar Rao, followed by Dr. Parmidan Gautam to brief us about the anti-fraud initiatives. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, ma'am, for that insightful presentation and telling us what stories that data can tell and then how to solve the business problems with that. The approach of now, as I mentioned previously, that we have that radar and impact, radar and facts dashboards, which tell us about the National Anti-Fraud Unit activities. In fact, the approach of NHA towards frauds by adopting the zero tolerance policy towards frauds, and B, the reliance and usage of advanced technologies like AI and ML, it has paid rich dividends in identifying the frauds and achieving the core objectives of NHA towards prevention, detection and deterrence of frauds. In the coming days, the focus will be more on prevention of frauds. We are trying to build processes and technologies to identify the frauds very early, in fact, rather than that, to prevent the frauds happening. So we are trying to build those technologies into the transaction management system. Because we believe, like in healthcare, how the prevention of diseases is more important than trying and curing them. So even in frauds, we should try and identify or prevent them happening to save the costs involved in the healthcare. In fact, globally, it is seen that about 6 to 10% of the monies, of the costs are lost in the healthcare frauds. So you can understand that by preventing them happening, you can have that much monies available to you to take care of the treatment costs. So with that, I request Dr. Parminder to please come and explain the. Dr. Parminder is here. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Ellarakum Vanakkam. My knowledge of Tamil ends here. So, good morning and namaskar to all non-Tamil speaking people. So, till now all positive things have been talked about. So, I am the one who has to start with something negative, that's fraud. Because you would appreciate that when you don't have to pay for the services or the product you consumes, and somebody else pays, that itself is a recipe for fraud. As Sir has also told that all of us appreciate that any leakage or fraud or abuse in any healthcare system is not only the violation of beneficiaries' entitlement, but also misappropriations of public funds. We agree, and as Dr. Rai has already said, that to the tune of 6 to 10% are, various studies shows that 6 to 10% of our health system money is lost in the fraud and abuse. So as yesterday all of us agree that the major hindrance between our attaining a universal health coverage is funds. So this is that 6 to 10% money which is already free money that is available with us. So we can leverage upon, if we can reduce frauds and abuse. It is a very, as for any negative feeling, all of us believe that there are frauds, but not that much. In our, everybody has, if, as it is this called, in disaster, there is a term called indemnity psychology, wherein we feel that, have you prepared, if you will ask, how many of you have got fire extinguisher in your home? I have got. So why not? Because whenever we ask, fire will not happen in our house. It will happen in somebody else's house. Fraud doesn't happen in my state. It happens in other states. Fraud doesn't happen in my hospital. They are part and parcel of healthcare delivery system. Accept it and start ticketing. And as our CEO sir have already guided us, there is no, we are not reformist. We cannot make people to do, we cannot tell them please don't do fraud, please don't. Only thing is that we can bring the transparency into the systems. So that is there. And as far as I am Dr. Sorry, I am Dr. Parminder Gautam. I have a medical background with experience in health systems, quality assurance and patient safety. And as a fraud, I have to deal with a lot of IT jargon. So I am neither trained nor experienced in information technology, but gradually I have started learning the jargon of IT and I would be using them. So no question about that, about the detail. But I must tell you that NHA, we have got very good system of fraud prevention, detection as well as deterrence. Only thing in a layman language I can tell you, you give the idea, you give the concept, that would be translated into IT terms by our team. We have that sort of competency within our team. So I will give you one example. So being from a clinical background, we come up with an idea that how to, one of our very fraud prone procedure is total knee replacement. So very simple thing. So it is not very easy. It is not very, everybody doesn't go through the, CPD doesn't go through all the documents. The simple procedure could be whether if we can have a pre-operative X-ray and post-operative X-ray, and whether the post-operative X-ray has got that implant in it or not. You believe me, when we did it, we found it only in 40% of them. 60% of the post X-rays were not even having the implant. So I told them, and so right now our team is working and it is giving us around 60 to 80% positive rate, that trigger. That is the latest trigger we are developing. So in terms of trigger, if that trigger doesn't come from anywhere else. It's a very scientific, we have a very scientifically driven process. We start developing trigger from the insight we received from the states, the clinical insights, the whatever our dashboards and our data tell us, and there is a sundry list of healthcare frauds which is already available on public domain. Based on that, we develop a trigger, we run it, and we constantly then we monitor the performance of tripper. There are noises there. Sometimes we get receipts that these are fraud or 90% is given. We accept that. So that's the limitation of the trigger. You have to understand trigger is just creating a suspicion. We are not saying it is a fraud. So that's the limitation of NHA. There only I will seek your full cooperation. We can only give you the suspicious case. Labeling it to be a fraud or not fraud is on the onus of the state. That is the one thing. And second thing is that we are ready to learn from you all, and so most of you states have got the system older than PMJY. You must have some anti-fraud mechanism in place. But only thing is that the data which is being shared should be complete and accurate. So at times we are not able to run over in most of the data which comes to us, reaches us through APIs. We are not able to run our triggers. That's why, so there I will request you that if that could be done. So that's there, and in terms of we do not have IT people also. We have got medical team within our teams who does the medical audits that we are doing randomly, and then we are doing audit of audits also, the audits done by the states. We have a well full-fledged IT team. We have a SAS team with us. That is helping us in developing trigger, as well as we have got in-house team also of the IT and forensic experts who are helping us in developing the trigger, monitoring them and pruning them and further improving them. And we have got some policy guidelines related people also. And recently, with the under leadership of our CEO sir, we are coming up with a concept of multi-vendor approach, wherein we would be paying so that there is no vendor lock-in, so that there is a transparency, so there is no monopoly. So we are not dependent. Multiple vendors would be coming, they will creating their trigger, and based on their performance, both in terms of false positive as well as false negative with punitive actions inbuilt within the system. It's a complicated but a very effective system. So we have got 4 vendors right now who have applied for us. We will be doing so. That's another thing. So you know, the fraud can be done by any stakeholder who is involved, right from the doctor to the beneficiary, PMAM or CPD or approver. So that can be done. And most of the frauds can be broadly categorized into upcoding, unbundling, ghost billing, impersonation, and fudge documents. These are the 5 things primarily where most of the, I will say that more than 95% of fraud happens under these categories only. And why do fraud happens? Fraud happens, there is a very thing. Number one, it's a very lucrative business actually. So profit margins are quite high. Probability of getting caught is very low. Even if you get caught, that you will be penalized, that penalty is also low. And even if you are penalized also, then the penalties itself is not commensurate with the amount of the quantum of fraud that you have committed. So as a policy, we have a zero tolerance policy at NHA, and 3 pillars around which our whole policy depends upon is prevention, detection, and this. As Rao sir has also told, we are gradually moving towards triggers to the alerts. Alerts are proactive measures that are built in within our TMS and BIS system. I will give you some examples right now. Once in a lifetime procedure. So appendectomy can be happen only once times. If the same person is booked again, then there would be a pop-up at the time of registration itself. Similarly, gender mismatch. So hysterectomy cannot be performed on a male patient. Similarly, say duplicate documents. If all the documents that have been submitted till far in our data warehouse has been given a hashtag value, so that's there. So we even have come up with that's told that risk scoring model. So which transaction is at a higher risk? So right now it was going into the SAFET bucket, but we are coming with a new functionality wherein CPD itself, whenever the case will reach the CPD, there will be a pop-up that this transaction seems to be fraudulent, with the fraudulent score of say 600 plus, we call them this, and along with the reasons why it seems to be fraudulent. So this hospital has got high readmission rate, this hospital has got high rejection rate, the top 5 reasons. So we have got 29 parameters on which we have got this risk scoring models for PMAM, for transaction, for hospitals, and in the radar portal, you will get even you can get the risk score of all the empaneled hospitals that you have got. This is the process flow. You already that beneficiary goes to the hospital, and all the data we are using only the data from our national data warehouse. So there is a single source of truth. Then we run our triggers. Based on that, there are alerts are there. BIS and TMS alerts I told that alerts are there, which happens in the system itself. And the triggers we run on the data on warehouses. Based on that, these triggers. Based on the triggers, then state does the due diligence, they do the medical audit, and at times it is required we have to go to the beneficiary or to a hospital field visit also, and then everything is being get reported on our facts portals, which is a single source on one portal where you can get all the information related to the fraud scenario within the country, how many frauds, how many suspicious cases were put, how many were investigated, how many were fought, how many de-empaneled, how many hospitals were levied, how many have been issued an FIR and all. This I have already explained. Trigger, I have told you that this is the trigger 62. Actually, it has the number has come down. Just before coming here, we have done an exercise, and we found that there were 8 triggers which were similar, more or less similar in construct and almost giving the same result. So we have combined them into one trigger, and you will see that over a period of time the unpaid and paid, so unpaid cases are increasing, so the leakage has reduced over a period of time. And these are the trigger performance. These are our TMS triggers which are giving us the maximum hit rate, and the BIS trigger that are there. So this is pan-India figures. You can accelerated hypertension is a very good thing to know, that elevated hypertension is often treated as accelerated hypertension. So any single reading of hypertension cannot be taken until unless there is an evidence of organ damage to any of the critical part. Now, what are the technologies that are being used? So artificial intelligence and machine learning are, as Rao sir has explained. So OCR we are using, NLP we are using. For example, my understanding of OCR NLM is that taking the image of the document and making the computer to read your document and then give the computer a demand whether this is there or not. So that we have done for, say, in laparoscopy cholecystectomy procedures. So all the ultrasound report, they just find out whether the gallbladder thickness, calculi word is there or not, sludge is there or not. On the basis of that, we create a score, and then it will say that it is not there. So this is one of the thing. And then there is an facial landmark detection. So that is also for the fuzzy. So at times we received complaints from many of the states that in the name of image people are putting blank squares, or putting some places they are putting animal images or whatever images they found suitable. So that also the fuzz analysis technology is here, that is or we are using. In impersonation, artificial image, facial landmarks also, if you'll see. So where should be the eyes should be there, what should be the placement of nose, what should be the placement of eyebrow. Based on that, again we just the suspicious. This trigger you see that was among our top 5 performing triggers. Deduplication and similarity I've already talked about. Every document has given a hashtag value, and if the same based on this we have we have found out many things, many fraudulent cases also. So community decision, it is not only that one person does that. At times what happens is that sometimes patient and the doctors or the hospitals within themselves, or they can make a cartel and make a collusion, and they start doing fraud in tandem by working with each other. So if you'll see this is another example. You see wherein here we are using Leuven algorithm, which is normally used for marketing, wherein we track the movement of the patient and the doctors from the hospital. If you will see that with Netra Sevasan, what was happening is that same patient was doing, got a right eye operated today, and within 1 week get the left eye of cataract operated from another hospital. And when the document, when we, so there were at least more than 50 to 60 such cases, or similarly, one patient is going to the 3 hospital one by one. Once he goes for malaria, then he goes for epilepsy, then he goes for cataract, then again come back. So what was happened when the audit was done, so we found that the critical documents were missing on this, vital charting was not done. So it is quite evident that all the documents that were done were quite fraud. So this is another way of detecting the fraud, where we are trying to capture the collusion between them. This is the deep learning document I talked about that we are working right now, that is whether the implant is there. And again, if one more step further, we can even have the type of implant. If that could also be, because with the technology, because there is no limitation, if the type of implant the same what is mentioned in using the OCR and NLP, we will see what is written in the OT notes, which implant was used, and if that computer can say that if the same implant is there in the X-ray or not, so that would be great. So risk scoring model I already talked about. This is the hospital risk scoring model. If you'll see that lesser the score, the less the probability of being fraud is less, and if the score is more than this, so some of the criteria that has been used in a risk scoring model is the readmission rate, claim rejection rate, enhancement rate. So right now, it is not, you're just getting a what will happen is that there will be a pop-up at the CPD level itself, and the causes will also be given, that on what basis this hospital seems to be fraud. This I have told that social network analysis, they can, anybody or any stakeholder can collude with any other stakeholder to create a fraud. So if a beneficiary says that take my card, make whatever bill you want, give me some cut, that is also happening. Within the hospitals also it can happen. If you see, this is a case from Jharkhand where you see Arogyam Hospital, and you see the same image is used for different processes. Gulab Hospital, Arogyam Hospital and Ayush Hospital, you see the image is the same. Same image is there, and this is the procedure is appendectomy, then there is cataract, then is malaria, you see. So same is there. So I'm done. Social network analysis. There's another way of doing fraud is that a patient goes to the PAM, he makes a card of Amar Singh for UP, but along with that he makes 4 other cards for 4 other states and share with those states, and all those 4 of them, they raise a claim which is more obviously fraud. So that's there. Radar, I have told, Radar is a very, I will rex that Radar and Facts are the 2 portals that will really help you in not only in identifying but managing frauds. Radar will give you an overall picture of in terms of utilization, which are the packages which are most utilized, which are the districts which are having most utilization, which are the hospitals which are using, which are the outliers. Then find out the outliers in terms of average length of stay, in terms of this you will find out, so that because doing random audit, you will find out if you are doing, your state is supposed to do the audit of at least 2% of their cases. So which 2% that this can be helped, you really, then Facts will give you a complete overall picture of all the tracks. Here I will suggest that most of you are not updating the action taken, that column, wherever whenever you de-empanel a hospital, whenever you issue a show cause notice, the form 7A, B, C and D are there. So that is not updated on regular time. I will just request you to be prominent in that. Thank you. Any questions? So I would just reiterate 3 things, sir. Please share the data complete and accurate. Please update, please spend at least 5 minutes 5 times a month on Facts and Radar. And however good our technology may be, however good our trigger may be, but the onus of success of anti-fraud activities lies on the states. So please do the due diligence, do the medical audit and field investigation as required, so that is there. Thank you.
I think 20 minutes were quite short and not sufficient to give the the details on what we are doing on the fraud prevention. And I would urge all the CEOs to please have, and if you are willing, we can arrange for a separate demonstration of both the portals, because Facts and Radar are the portals that we take pride in. And in fact, the kind of data that we are generating, as I mentioned yesterday, and the kind of triggers that we have been able to incorporate into the system, there are more than 50 triggers of different kinds. So we would request you, in case the CEOs are willing, to have a special session organized online to train you and apprise you as to what we all have been doing on fraud prevention. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Pramod.
Thank you, sir. Moving on, I would like to invite Dr. Shankar Prinja, followed by Dr. Sudha Chandrasekhar, to introduce us with the new health benefit package policy, DRG and ICD-11. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Shankar Prinja. I'm the Executive Director and Division Head of the Health Policy and Quality Assurance Division. Can we move on? So basically what I'm going to present during this session is the new health benefit package that has recently been announced, and the OM for that has already been issued to all the states. Can we move on to the present? Achha, so I need to move the slides. Okay, thanks. So we have this the 4 components that we'll be talking about right now. So I'll talk about on the health benefit package, the SDGs and the quality initiatives, and then my colleague Dr. Sudha would be talking about the ICD and the DRG part. So in terms of the health benefit package, as we all know that we have progressed since the first health benefit package was announced when the scheme was launched, and there was a version 2.0 that was announced, followed by 2.1 and 2.2. In each of these packages, we made certain changes in terms of either the increase in the number of procedures that were incorporated, or changes in pricing that were done. And different states have been at different stages of migration in terms of the uptake of these health benefit packages. But what we have recently done is that we've made a complete, because each of these previous set of exercises in terms of rationalizing the health benefit package was aiming at certain specialities or certain procedures, or maybe picking up the top utilized procedures and trying to rationalize them. But in this set of exercise that we've done, for which we've circulated the entire list to all the states, we've done a complete overhauling of the health benefit package now. And this has, the process has been a very comprehensive process, wherein first what we did, and this took about 4 months' time, we started off first looking at what's the overall utilization of the scheme, doing a kind of a review of the scheme performance in terms of which are those packages that are more utilized, which are the ones that are least utilized, which of these, what are the reasons for booking of the unspecified packages, so that if we want to reduce the level of unspecified booking, then we should have those explicitly listed as standalone procedures. Then we also requested the states to provide details on what are the additional packages that the states have in their own state-specific schemes as well. So that was one set of exercise that we did. The second set of exercise, which we all understand, and there has been a lot of feedback that we had been receiving, was around the pricing. So the second set of exercise that we did was to look at the difference between the cost and the price. So there was a large study that was commissioned by the Department of Health Research, which was supported by the National Health Authority, which looked at the cost of providing healthcare services in a range of public and private sector hospitals, and these were more than about 80 hospitals that were sampled in about 13 states. And in each of these hospitals, there were detailed costing, micro-costing methods were used to determine the cost of each individual service that is provided by these specialities, and then come up with package costs. And these are costs. That means how much does it take for the hospital to provide a given procedure, let's say. And then what we did was that for each of these packages, we tried seeing that what are the cost price differential. So we did find that certain packages are overpriced, certain packages are underpriced, and certain packages are by and large reasonable. So using all of this analytics, then we had detailed stakeholder consultations with set of experts that were identified for each of the specialities. And these experts were drawn from committees that had already been established by the Department of Health Research for the purpose of setting up standard treatment guidelines. So these committees were co-opted, and each specialty committee was provided with these detailed set of inputs in terms of utilization, in terms of cost price differentials, and certain other pricing information that we were able to get from different sources. And then based on this consultation, we came up with certain revision of the benefit package, trying to add certain new procedures, remove certain things that are that are redundant now, change the pricing of the scheme as well. And then we also had detailed consultation with a range of other stakeholders involving insurance agencies, private sector industry representatives, Association of Hospital Providers of India. And based on all of this discussion, then we came up with the new health benefit package, which has certain key features. One of the things that we have done is that we have, obviously, as I mentioned, we rationalized the prices. We have added a new specialty, which is palliative medicine. So there are procedures now that are listed under this one new specialty that has been added. Initially, we used to have mostly procedure prices that were fixed, but a lot of stakeholders used to always say that there are certain high-cost drugs that are required for given procedures, etc., which do not come within the cost or the price of that particular procedure. So we have identified certain high-end drugs, diagnostics, and procedures which are kept as a separate entity, and these are going to be mapped along with each of these procedures. So the hospital would be paid the procedure price, as well as any high-end drug, diagnostic, or procedure that they have booked along with each of these procedures. There are certain new procedure additions which are high cost procedures, and two of these that have been added are the bone marrow transplant, and we've added the autologous bone marrow stem cell transplant. The allogenic has not yet not been added. That was the decision taken by the experts. The cochlear implant surgery is another second procedure that we have added. Overall, we have added 365 new procedures to the national master. So the total count now becomes 1949. For the prices of the COVID screening tests, we have not specified any price because we understand that these are state-specific prices that are set in individual states, and so they have been kept as per the state guidelines. Specifications for implants as per the DCGI, FDA, and the CE approvals, they have been mentioned. And another important feature that we've added this time is that of a differential pricing, because one of the feedbacks that we got was that a uniform price does not necessarily meet the requirement for all kinds of hospitals with different costing structures. So using the cost data, we identified that what is the gradation or the gradient in terms of the cost that is incurred in, let's say, a tier 1 city, a tier 2 city, and a tier 3 city, or a tertiary care procedure versus a secondary care procedure. So accordingly, what we have now, so the differential prices offers 3 sets of prices for the same procedure, which is in tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 city. And there are about 8 cities that have been identified as tier 1, about 47 as tier 2, and the rest are classified as tier 3. And these are the standard classifications that we've used as per the Government of India OMs used for DA calculations. And lastly, we have also added certain follow-up procedures for in 3 specialties for certain procedures. These are in urology, CTVS, and cardiology. And the logic was that, for example, you undergo a valve replacement surgery, and if you do not let the patient take the benefit of subsequent follow-up, then a lot of times there are likely to be complications, and that complication may result in another procedure that may be required. So there's a stuck valve, and there is, as a result, or the patient is not able to be compliant to the anticoagulation or the warfarin. So that leads to this, the re-procedures being done, the failure of certain previous procedures that are done, which becomes actually more inefficient. So as a result, for certain procedures within these 3 specialties, we have added provision for a follow-up package also, which will allow for a follow-up consultation with the diagnostics that are linked with that procedure, that consultation, and the medication that are required over a period of 3 months that could be issued by the hospital. So these are some key new features of the new health benefit package. Sorry. So this is the final numbers that we have in the new package. So we have about now 27 specialties covering 1121 packages that comprise of 1949 procedures. And so overall, if you look at what's been the change in terms of pricing structure, we have about 365 new packages, 630 where we have not changed the price, about 832 where we have increased the price, and 122 where the price has been reduced from what it was in the HPP 2.2. And these are all comparisons with HPP 2.2. The other thing that I also wanted to mention was that we're also trying to reform the entire business of price setting within the PMJY ecosystem. And in order to do that, we have hosted a consultation paper. We drafted that and we put it up for stakeholder feedback. And this consultation paper basically tries to outline the PMJY pricing policy for future in terms of certain key frameworks. The first is we try and give some broad contours around what could be the different mechanisms of pricing or the strategies for pricing that could be undertaken, and we request stakeholder feedback on each of these. For the costing data that we had used for price setting, we have also given the link to that costing study and the entire framework that has been used, the methodology, etc. And we've invited public comments on from stakeholders about how they feel about the robustness of this. We've also described the process of the simulation pilot moving forward for the DRG pilot. Because one of the things that we, as part of the differential pricing that I described in the HPP that we've done, is that we have created this kind of separate pricing for different types of cities and for tertiary and secondary packages. But so basically we're trying to address some of the hospital characteristics that could influence the costing structures. So that part is something that has been addressed by the differential pricing. However, there could be patients of the same disease who could come with different levels of severity or with different levels of comorbidities, and they may not necessarily, they are currently being paid the same amount as well. Given the fact that we try and express this kind of information to the hospitals, that you on an average you will even out, because you might get some cases that might have comorbidities and severe, but some that are less severe as well. But that sometimes can compromise the quality, and as a result we're trying to go ahead with this simulation pilot, and the approach and the methodology of the simulation pilot is also something that we've described within the consultation paper. The fourth component that we have outlined in this is the use of health technology assessment to make evidence-based decisions on value-based pricing. So we are currently only looking at how much it costs to a given provider to provide a given service, and we're trying to set our price according to the cost that he incurs. But we also understand that there are a lot of high-cost drugs, newer anti-cancer drugs that come in for metastatic cancers, etc., which may, although they are available, but the marginal benefits that they offer in terms of improvements in health are very, very limited. So these are high-cost drugs, offer survival benefits of 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and that too in a kind of a quality of life that may not be very great. So in order to make the overall scheme more efficient and our allocation of resources more efficient, we're proposing a way forward wherein we make decisions around pricing that are grounded in the value that each of these new interventions offer. So that's again something that we've raised this in our consultation paper, and the approach also. And finally, we also in this consultation paper draft an approach towards a continuous updation of these prices based on certain index of inflation, and that could be used for a continuous annual kind of updations that could take place. So that's the approach that we have outlined, and we have given it up for comments. We are organizing one live consultation with the private sector and the industry on the 13th of this month, and we are likely to have another one which would be in the week of 18th, where we'll invite the public sector stakeholders to join in and hear the approach of this paper, as well as seek their feedback as well. So there are some recent decisions which have already been communicated about, which had been taken in the last governing board, but which relate to the utilization of the health benefit package. So I thought that we'll just put them up here. One is related to the provision of 15% incentive for the NQAS hospitals. Second is the availability of an option for co-payment by the beneficiaries, only limited to cases where either the package or the procedure price is more than the total height of our benefit package, or where the wallet of the individual family is insufficient to meet the given procedure price. So those are two conditions in which there could be an option. However, a consent is something that would be mandatory, and before that one would encourage using the options like which are available at the state level in the form of some kind of health minister's discretionary fund or RAN or other facilities of co-payment, not making it from the beneficiary. Next is the flexibility that has been given to as part of the last GB's decision to the states for booking the unspecified packages up to 5 lakhs. So prior, the packages between 1 to 5 lakhs, there was the request used to come to the NHA. Now this is something that has been the power to approve the utilization of unspecified packages between 1 to 5 lakh is with the principal secretary of the state. Under 1 lakh, it is with the CEO of the SHA. However, again, there are caveats linked to this related to audits that need to be done, setting up of the medical cell that has to be ensured, and also quarterly compilation of all the unspecified packages that have been booked and communication of that to the NHA. While there is a health benefit package that has been drafted, national reference price has been set. A differential price gives you option for paying providers in tier 1, 2 and 3 cities. However, there is flexibility at the state level as per the governing board decision to further make changes into the prices of these health benefit packages. So this is again a provision that is available as per the GB decision. One slide each I have on the standard treatment guideline and the quality. So in terms of the standard treatment guideline, we have certain standard treatment guidelines that are available, and these standard treatment guidelines offer the set of mandatory documentation requirements that are necessary for each provider to comply with for booking each of the procedures. Now we have released 26 sets of these STGs. We would urge especially the states that are not using the PMJY TMS to integrate these STGs into their systems, so that there is less. We have seen that booking better compliance with the STGs does lead to a reduced rate of queries, and perhaps this would contribute to a reduced turnaround time as well. So this could be beneficial in this sense as well. One of the things that we're trying to take this STGs forward, moving forward, is that right now the focus of STGs has been more on the mandatory documentation. But what we want to do now as part of the new set of STGs that we're developing is to also incorporate the certain clinical fields that would be specific to each procedure that will be integrated in the TMS, that subsequently help us map the actual procedure, actual treatment being given according to the condition of the patient, and see how that was in line with the evidence-based guidelines, and is the treatment being offered as per the quality standards and as per the evidence-based guidelines. In terms of the quality initiatives, we've set up we are setting up quality cells as small units that could help nudge the states in order to interact with the hospitals and try to work with them in order to improve the quality of care. There are some states where these quality cells have been established, but we would urge the other states as well to set up these quality cells, and we would be very happy to further provide support and to ensure that these quality cells work with the hospitals as a kind of a supportive mechanisms in order to improve quality. Because we do recognize that just having the accreditations perhaps may not necessarily be the way forward, but we also need to improve the processes, which is a very ongoing system. And we also are trying to incentivize hospitals in order to have some kind of accreditation system for quality within the PMJY ecosystem. These numbers have been represented to say that how many of these hospitals have had the quality accreditation, PMJY quality accreditations. This does not go on to necessarily mean that the hospitals are not necessarily quality accredited in the southern states. It is just that there are a lot of hospitals that may even be NABH accredited at full accreditation or entry level. However, they have not yet put in their information within our PMJY IT system, and as a result, they do not necessarily reflect on in this slide. So we would again urge that your nodal officers who are working on quality, if they could work with the hospitals to get that information there up in the portal, that would help to have these numbers up raised. So this is what I wanted to describe in terms of the health benefit package, the pricing reforms, the SDGs and the quality. So I'll invite my colleague Dr. Sudha, who will give you an overview of the initiatives around the ICD and the DRGs.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Dr. Shankar, for setting the stage, because as we move towards further reforms within the health benefit packages, one of the important thing is how do we strengthen the patient classification systems. Because when we were actually analyzing the state-specific packages, many times we used to get the same package described in a different nomenclature. So even though we had a specific code and a specific details in our national master, the states would still ask it to be labeled as a state-specific package, because there is some minor modification in the name and it will be clear for the hospitals. But what we are trying to do here is to ensure that all the packages, all the diagnosis and the procedures and the interventions are standardized, and it is as per international standards that have been developed by the World Health Organization, the International Classification of Disease, the latest one being 11, which was launched on January 2022. So we are one of the first countries to move towards this latest ICD-11 and ICHI, which we have integrated, and as you know, we launched it yesterday night, and it has been live in the IT system of PMJY. But the only thing that I would like to urge is there are still states here, the Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Karnataka, who are still using their IT system for which it is not yet integrated. So we would be very happy to support those IT integrations, because these are all based on APIs. It's a global API with the WHO team. So we can facilitate that, and we can discuss with your IT teams to ensure that that is integrated within at least in the next 15 days. If the states can nominate a nodal person to ensure that that integration happens, because at least from next month we want to receive these data fields from every state and UTs, and not just from the states that are using our IT system. So just to give you a background, this has been, ICD is not new. I think every one of us who are in the medical field have used the ICD for coding mostly the mortality statistics, right? So any times we have the cause of death and certification of death, we have been coding the deaths. But for morbidity, many of us don't use it much. So that is the reason that we want, and PMJY basically caters to lot of treatments, and it is a very huge data mine wherein we can actually map the morbidity statistics across the country in ensuring that we can assess the burden of disease, though we might get the details from various sources like HMIS, and there are umpteen vertical programs in the National Health Mission. So all this gives piecemeal data. So we want to also ensure that the people who are taking the actual care under the PMJY, we can assess what types of morbidities that they have and what is the kinds of treatment, and does our system cater to the availability of such services also. So it's a very important thing that we are trying to integrate. And compared to ICD-10, which was launched in 1990, so for almost 22 years, we have not had an update. So this is the latest one, but the epidemiological changes has happened, the disease transitions has happened, but that has not been reflected in the ICD coding. So this ICD-11 is very important in that sense that right now, we wanted to leapfrog to the most advanced coding. So we have adopted this, and PMJY is the first insurance company, insurance bar assurance scheme in the world to actually have this. So we have interacted with a lot of countries to understand what is that they are using for their UHC programs. Most of them are in ICD-9 and ICD-10. And as a change maker, we are trying to ensure that we are the first ones to move to that. And it is completely free, no license, whether it is for commercial or non-commercial purpose. So any of the states, when you integrate, there are no charges or anything to maintain the database of the ICD-11, because it gets automatically updated. So we don't have to, even as a country, we don't have to do any updations in that. So as and when the main database gets updated, we get all the key things that is included. So mainly the ICD-11 would help us in terms of cause of death, clinical disease, functional assessments, and also look at patient safety and drugs. And also it's very important for assessing the case mix. And as we have announced yesterday that we are looking at pilots for the diagnosis related group, ICD-11 is kind of a precursor activity that is needed for NHA to move towards any kind of advanced provider payment mechanisms. And we are looking at using the World Health Organization diagnosis related groupers that they are coming up. Again, the first time they were looking at groupers that are compatible with ICD-11. So we have to be ready in anticipation of the new ways these groupers would be prepared. So that is the reason that the ICD-11 would be highly beneficial. It is very easy. I think we have had a sensitization sessions to all the states. I think for the past one and a half months, we have had intense training sessions for master trainers at NHA and SHAs, and we have understood that how easy it is to ensure that it gets automatically recorded, that there is no manual typing, there is no manual intervention there. So based on whatever the doctor has actually written as the diagnosis, so only two things the patient, the PMAM or the Medco needs to look into it. What is the diagnosis that has been suggested, provisional bar final, that has been provided by the treating doctor, and what is the planned management, what is the treatment planned. So those are the two things that are needed for the PMAM or the Medco to enter into our IT system. So as I said, we would be using this for our further DRG pilots. As we move the ICHI, the International Classification of Health Interventions, this has been again mapped with our current the HPP packages, and it is mainly for the intervention. So most of the codes that you will see is for the surgical packages. For the medical packages, these ICHI coding will not be applicable. So unless there is some kind of an interventional measure that would be used. So this has three things: the target organ, the action that has been taken, and how it has been done. So if you want to know, if we do have packages saying that appendicectomy will be done, but again we have stratified it as lap or open, right? So it can actually capture what is the kind of procedure that has been actually performed on the patient. So to that level, it gives the coding, and wherever there is a direct one-to-one mapping, the PMAM need not type anything or even search for it. So as soon as they select the package in our system, it will get automatically populated. Only when there are multiple options for a procedure, then you will the PMAM has to see what is the planned procedure and then select within the narrowed down 2-3 options that might be applicable for that package. So just to give that example, just appendicectomy, we can actually go into the details. So further, even for extension codes could be done if, for example, a procedure is being done endoscopically. So whether it is a diagnostic procedure or a therapeutic procedure, so you can actually drill down, and that options also will be available for that package. So mainly we are using these two things, both ICD and ICHI. So both are important for us specifically to run it through our groupers. So it is important that we are not only looking at just the diagnosis, but also the different types of management, and ensure that there is more matching that we can happen, because For a particular diagnosis, the huge mismatch of procedure being booked will be reflected very easily, because those codes, those map procedures will not be available. So even if the patient, whatever the related procedures that can be done for a particular diagnosis or a planned procedure, that needs to be streamlined. So the mismatch of diagnosis versus treatment is something that will pop up very clearly. So we have done a lot of sensitizations with the states, both for DRG and ICDs, and mainly right now it is live on our IT system for the PMJY. So as we move to the next one, which is our next step for further payment reforms and provider payment reforms, because many of the advanced UHC schemes in the world have always looked in and moved towards and transitioned towards these advanced provider payment mechanisms. So we are interacting and learning from many of the other countries, because most of the countries who have moved earlier, they were having a fee for payment services. So there are different ways how you finance your UHC schemes. So one is just paying for each and every procedure or a diagnostic or a treatment that is provided. Whereas the second one is, you can also look at a global budget, saying that I am giving this budget to your hospital, but how you manage within that and provide care to all the patients that come to your hospital, that is left to you. So if a hospital receiving more serious cases may find it difficult to manage within that global budget, or there might be other issues in terms of, they might be trying to cut corners in terms of how much either it is over under provision of care might also be happening. Whereas in a capitation, you're looking at, this is the area, it's more based on geography, saying that this is the area, there are the 30,000 people, and for this we are giving you this budget, but whether it will include all your preventive, secondary and tertiary care services for that population. But what we are doing in our current PMJY is the case-based bundled payment, wherein we are giving a bundled payment for all the services that are provided per episode of care in the hospital. So one of the tools of financing these kind of UHC scheme is based on either bed days, inputs such as number of tests, saying that this is the number of tests you need to do and we will pay you so much. Or the latest one in that is the diagnosis related group, wherein we look at the patient characteristics, the severity, the complications and the cost of services that are required to actually provide the patient care. So mainly this DRG, what it does is it looks at both the clinical homogeneity of the patients and also the resource requirement to treat such kind of patients. So it doesn't mean that the patients have to be of a particular specialty, but even within a similar specialty, the different treatments may be related to different type of a DRG grouper. So it is important that we understand that. And since it's a software based, so it is not anything manual. So based on the different inputs that are put into the software, it will actually throw out the kind of packages amount that needs to be paid. So every package, like we have a base rate and now we have looked into the differential pricing. So a base rate would definitely be there, and a relative weight is what we will have to, will be assigned, that is based on the specific details and of the patients, and then the final package that needs to be provided to the hospital will be automatically calculated. So this will be more a software based activity, but what we need to also look at is there are certain data fields that are required that needs to be minimally available, and what we have done is we have checked all the required database fields, and the only additional data field that is required for the DRG purposes now would be for the addition of a secondary diagnosis field. We already have a primary diagnosis and we only have the addition of secondary diagnosis, and to understand the cost weights, we will be adding a few requirements for data that needs to be collected. So one of the benefits of PMJY moving to these advanced payment system is we always have the complaints of a flat rate that we pay to the hospitals for all types of patients. especially hospitals that are more centers of excellence or tertiary care hospitals who actually receive more severe cases or people perform much more complicated procedures. So that is one thing. And packages selection and its payment would be more instead of being subjective, because we have seen a lot of things that the hospitals also try to maximize the resources by booking multiple packages and other specific, to increase the resource reimbursement to the hospital. So that is something that we want to address with this. And compared to, we can also compare the kind of how the hospitals are performing across the country. So we will definitely understand where there is efficiencies and inefficiencies and how that could be also addressed. And easier review of the reconciliation process. So whenever there is issue with the hospital reimbursements, so the details that are available and it will help in faster resolution and reconciliation. And it also gives a right incentive for the hospitals to provide the appropriate care, because now they don't have to cut corners. So a patient who needs more care can be provided the required care and ensured that they don't have to adjust for the lack of package amount. And especially the empanelment of certain specialities where we feel that, because of this reason that many hospitals don't empanel, as the kind of caseloads that they look at is very different, and the kind of package amounts that are reimbursed may not be, at a flat rate may not be very attractive for them. So we have learned a lot of lessons from various countries, and we are also looking at what would be the best way for India to move forward. So we are learning and working with other countries who have actually done this, like Thailand, especially the newer countries, and in the developing countries like Thailand, and also from the more advanced countries like Australia. So we are looking at learnings from all these countries to inform the way how our systems will be finalized. So mainly for the DRG pilot, we are going in 4 steps. So mainly we have had all the technical committees in place, and regularly we are meeting and learning from each of these experts, and looking at the different tasks that need to be looked into. The second step is to actually set up the ICD and ICHI, and that is something that we have moved ahead with. And the third step is also looking at the minimum database creation and the kind of data fields that are required additionally to be included. And the fourth step is to establish we hope that we would take this discussion forward after this meeting to ensure that we will move ahead with the selection of hospitals based on certain defined criteria, wherein we are looking at multi-speciality hospitals, public, private, and also based on the type of city, and ensuring that we have a mix of various cases that are available in these hospitals. So we've already shortlisted the hospitals for Chhattisgarh. So we will be moving ahead with the Kerala pilot and having advanced stakeholder discussion with your hospitals to get their willingness to share some additional data and work with our team to help us develop those cost weights and relative weights for adjustments. So right now we are in that stage of planning the progress in ensuring that we will be launching the pilots from this month, and we'll be working with each of the individual 5 states, Haryana, Chhattisgarh, Meghalaya, Maharashtra, and Kerala, and working with them to include certain things, especially to start the data collection and work with them and finalize the action plan for the next couple of months, and make sure that this is not something that we are looking at, that there will be no change in the way you will pay the hospitals. It is, since it's a simulation pilot, what we are looking at is to ensure that if the hospitals were paid in the current flat rate that we are doing versus the way how the hospitals would have been paid through the DRGs, how would the revenues of the hospitals differ, and what are the kinds of benefits and efficiencies we can bring in into the provider payment systems. So thank you. We'll be taking these discussions forward and also have more trainings for the ICD, ICHI at a state level, and we are happy to support any kind of capacity building that would be required both for the SHA and the hospital staff. So thank you. And we are here, both of us, for any questions on any of these topics that we have discussed till now.
I must like to convey to many of the officers who are present here, if they are not aware, these two officers in the HPQA division are the authorities. Probably Dr. Shankar Prinja is one of the best health finance expert in the country, and Dr. Sudha, as many would have worked with her. She was working with World Bank for quite a lot of years, and in fact she has been a pioneer in many of the concepts which we just discussed. So I would request the states to take the maximum benefit of the team which is available now in NHA. So a lot of the new innovations which have happened because these two officers have joined us. So with this, I would request the officers if there is any question.
Lunchtime.
Give us a feedback also if there are anything specifically that needs modifications. Anyway, we will be customizing these things at the state level. So we will be happy to look into any iterations, or if you find anything that is mismatched, you can get back to us and we are happy to work on that. Thank you.
Plus, we'll also request if you can have a look at the paper that we've got, the consultation paper that has already been put up there, and we request you to give your feedback. 25th is the last date, and there's a website, there's an email address on which this needs to be given. Thank you very much.
We have a consultation plan with the states also, the SHAs also, so we will be reaching out to you. Please ensure that your team participates and gives the feedback on these. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. I would now like to call upon Mr. Rohit Dev Jha to brief you about the challenges in the implementation of portability. Welcome, sir.
So yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I will not be taking more than 5 minutes, and I will rather not go to the PPT. We'll just talk about what are the issues we want to highlight in the session. So to start with, I would say that portability, while 4 of the states, or in fact 5 of the states in the group we are having right now are, thank you. So while 5 of the states in this group are resource sufficient and at times resource surplus, the 3 of the other states or the UTs are limited in terms of they have limited access to the hospital and limited access to the healthcare services, and both of them are interdependent. Like these 3 UTs are dependent upon the remaining 5 of them. Now, what is happening here is because of the issue that we do not have complete convergence between the 5 of the states and NHA and the Ayushman Bharat PMJY, we are facing limitation in terms of implementation of the portability services. And while yesterday it was said that while the 5 of the states, they represent 50% of the pre-authorization in the country, the number of portability cases they represent is less than 1%. So that you can see the contrast that talks volume about what I am trying to raise the issue about. The issue is that these 3 UTs, Lakshadweep, Puducherry and Andaman Nicobar. Andaman Nicobar in this case is dependent upon Tamil Nadu, Lakshadweep is on Kerala, and Puducherry on Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. So, and they are sort of facing challenges in terms of the this portability services. And of late we have tried many like consultation wherein officers from those states those UTs have even have visited the the other states. Even NHA has went there to sort out the issue, to find out what is the reason, but we have found that this has not been sorted out yet the way it should be. And today morning, Uma ma'am has shared a screenshot on the CEO group of Ayushman Bharat, where she has presented that there is an upward trend towards the uptake of portability services in Tamil Nadu with respect to Andaman Nicobar, and she has also highlighted that there is a problem with respect to claim payment, that there is out of the 500, only 40% has been paid in time. Now, of course, we will look into that. We have a detailed slide. I don't want to go into that. We have slides about each of the state and UTs, what problem they are facing, and the counter reply which they have said that, okay, this is the problem they are facing right now. But I simply, let me tell you upfront, I have been in the PMJY ecosystem for last 3 years, and I really feel that there is lack of some intent. That's very, I'm being candid about that. There is lack of intent on part of both the sides, those who are payers and those who are providers. And this is such a minor issue, this can really be sorted out with some kind of, and this has improved, like we had a discussion with Tamil Nadu, and then this has improved. We have an issue with Andhra Pradesh with respect to Yanam, and it has improved. We have a discussion with Kerala and with the Kochi, this has improved. So what I feel that, what we feel at NHA is that if this can improve from -2 to 2, it can definitely go to even 5 and 6. And for what? The one thing everything is okay, the presentation part, we have listed out some suggestions. The only thing we suggest here is that can we have one nodal officer who is full-time nodal officer for this purpose of portability services. And upfront, it is one more thing. The states are losing on the account of the finance, because if you have surplus healthcare facility in your state, and people like, I remember from my childhood days that people from Bihar used to plan to go Sankar Netralaya for eye care operations. I remember it from my when I was in class 5 or 6. So there is definitely this understanding that southern states are having more healthcare facilities vis-a-vis the northern states, and this you will be able to get revenues because it is not free of cost. If the people from other states are coming, they will be paid. What we also understand, this claim payment issue, we have brought some changes. I will just try to show you one slide that where is this one? Can you go to the slide? Just a second. Next. Yes. No. Just a second. Yeah, one more back. Yes, this one. So what we have, basis the complaint you have raised, what we have proposed that initially what we were having, that this pre-authorization was supposed to be approved by the beneficiary estate. So in the portability ecosystem we have 2 estates. One is called beneficiary estate and another is called hospital estate. The hospital estate is the state where the treatment is provided, and beneficiary estate is the state where the beneficiary belongs to. So what we have proposed, we are going to implement it now, because we had some consultation with the states, and after that consultation we have decided this mechanism that pre-auth would be approved by not the hospital estate at par with their inter-estate beneficiary and not by the beneficiary estate, because we see that there is a lots of delay about the approval, and there is lots of to and fro about the questions, back and forth about the questions. So, and why this is because now the hospital in Tamil Nadu knows what kind of documents are required to be provided to the for getting the pre-authorization approved. But if the same document may not be required in Lakshadweep or Andaman Nicobar. So if the hospital in Tamil Nadu registers a pre-authorization request and sends it for the approval to Andaman, definitely Andaman will have some queries to send, as you can, and ma'am has said that their 40% claim payment is only, because even at the time of claim submission the documentation requirement is different for different states and UTs. So what we also did, that we have 4 stages of claim payment in our IT system, that is claim executive, claim processing doctors, then we have account officer, and then finally SHA, who approves the debit from the bank account. What we said that this claim executive and claim processing doctors, both of them, because these are the people who evaluates the document and also evaluates the requirement of the medical treatment or the treatment provided to the beneficiary. So what we have proposed that both these things will be done by the hospital estate. Hitherto these were done by the beneficiary estate. So that way the claim processing would be expedited. So these two things we have made a modification. We will shortly share with you the guideline, and I am sure that all of you will be happy about that. We have taken care that you do not require again any financial approval for that, because the financial arrangement remains the same. And regarding certain things like the additional case load on the ISA and TPA and whatsoever, so while we will be suggesting some modification in the contract in the future, in times to come, it is counterbalancing each other. Kerala people is going to Tamil Nadu people may also be coming to Kerala. So that way it is somehow balancing, because the numbers are very less. While we have 3 crore hospitalization cases, we have just 3.51 lakhs portability cases. So it is you can see it is almost 1%, 1.5%. So that's not a significant number. We will suggest this one. I end this presentation with only one request, that with all the CEOs sitting here, we have CEOs from Tamil Nadu, Kerala sir is there, Lakshadweep sir is there, then sir is there for Andhra Pradesh, and we don't have Andaman Nicobar right now, and Puducherry ma'am, you are there. So we just request with one thing, that can we just appoint one nodal officer for at least 2-3 months full-time basis who can take care of this portability, because this is something which is even impacting the interstate relationship also, because they are coming back and complaining every day that this is problem. And I know if you are providing treatment in case of 50 people and 5 are denied treatment, those 5 will make the story, 50 will not make the story. So please ensure that. I end my presentation with that. One thing I would like to, Deputy CEO sir has asked me to convey it to you, as we didn't have the convergence PPT this time. The convergence is something, one convergence is the PMJOI convergence and the state scheme convergence. The another convergence which we are implementing right now is, this was the part of Deputy CEO sir's presentation yesterday, that we are implementing completely CGHS right now on our platform. CGHS, all of you are aware, Central Government Health Scheme, that is for the central government employee. We are implementing Ayushman CAPF, that is for 40 lakhs CAPF personal, CRPF, CISF, Assam Rifles and everyone. Similarly, we are implementing ESIC in 157 districts. Now we are going to implement similar scheme on our platform for all the employees of Uttar Pradesh government. They have recently passed the order, and also for the Uttarakhand. We have received similar request for Haryana also. I want to convey to all of you that we have a ready-made platform with all the packages being implemented. CGHS is currently being implemented in 74 districts, 74 cities of the country. They have the packages, everything is being integrated with our system, and we understand in most of the states, including this the states sitting here, majority of you do not have a cashless facility for your employees. You have a reimbursement basis system, wherein when the employees avail the services, they pay from their pocket. At times they take the advance from their department, and subsequently they raise the bill for reimbursement. So similar to PMJY, now we are instituting this concept of cashless services for the employees. So we would request you that if you want to see our platform, you can request NHA, we can give you a demo of that platform, and subsequently you can propose it to your to concerned department that we can have the similar cashless facility for your employees, and it would not just save effort at the part of the beneficiaries, and it will provide them a cashless service. It will also save money. It will also save unnecessary red tapeism, which is involved at a lower level of bureaucracy when you push your bills to be processed. So I request you all to please kindly consider this, and Dr. Pankaj Arora at NHA is looking after this convergence. So you may reach up to NHA, and we will provide a demo for that. So that with this we end all our presentation. We'll have a vote of thanks. Amit Paliwal sir, you can come ahead for vote of thanks. Thank you everyone for a very patient listening.
Good afternoon everyone. I know everyone's hungry. I'll stick to 5 minutes, 300 seconds, nothing more than that. And to begin with, I must say that it's really a privilege and an honor to be a part of such a esteemed group of people, such a motivated group of people, and to be able to thank all of you for your efforts. Before I start the formal vote of thanks, just a couple of thoughts I was dwelling on last evening. First is the name of the event, Sangam. And as all of us know, Sangam means confluence. And Here we have a confluence of knowledge, actually, you know. And any such confluence, any such exchange, knowledge exchange, will be meaningless without the knowledge. So it's actually the people in the room which make this event meaningful. And I think everyone here deserves a big round of applause for all the efforts that they've done. A second thought which came, and it might sound a little flattering, but the fact is, you know, it took me down memory lane. I think 15 odd years ago, we used to come to southern parts of India when RSPY was being started in 2008. And we were basically learning from the southern Indian states. And it's really nice to see that that still continues. You know, I mean, the southern Indian states are still the flag bearers. They're still the ones which are getting some of the most innovative ideas implemented, taking steps which we are only kind of following in the northern parts of India. And it's really, in a way, very nice to see that southern India keeps excelling. And wish you all the best on that. And we really look forward to learning from you on that one. Now, coming to the formal vote of thanks, I think one person we cannot forget is the CEO of NHA. Dr. R.S. Sharma, sir, I think he's a transformational leader, if I may say. You know, he's a person who got things moving in a country of 1.3 billion, not once, not twice, but many times. You know, the Aadhaar card, the CoWIN, I mean, we all know. And to be able to manage that and to be able to keep people motivated and focused, I think he's a remarkable leader that way. So, I mean, many thanks to him. Another set of people, I think, who are equally, important for our operations is the additional CEO, Dr. Praveen Gidam, and the Deputy CEO, Dr. Vipul Agrawal. I mean, both of them, if I may, with their permission, for both of them, if I may, with their permission, I think they are like 24/7 helplines kind of a thing. You know, they're always there to help you, counsel you, support you. Not really hear no's very often from them, maybe a critique once in a while, but that's about it. And the fact that when you enter NHA and it does not seem like a typical Sarkari daftar, I think goes a long way to the way the resources are being managed there. I mean, you enter NHA, you find these young VIPs moving around with a twinkle in their eyes. People are motivated, people are getting things done. It's a busy office, you know, it's not like a typical Sarkari daftar. And I think a lot of that environment is due to the leadership which is there. So thank you so much, sir. I mean, coming to this specific event, I think it will be absolutely imperative to thank SHA Tamil Nadu, especially Dr. Radhakrishna, Mr. P. Senthil Kumar, and Dr. Ahmed, and of course Dr. Uma, who were really instrumental in organizing everything. I think I can easily say that this was one of the better organized workshops, if not the best. And the event last evening, was also a real highlight, which I'm sure we all will remember for quite a while. Finally, I would like to thank all the esteemed officers from the 4 states and the 4 union territories. I mean, it's always very delightful to see the kind of motivation that our senior officers have to make sure that no one gets left behind. You know, I mean, India is on a growth trajectory. We all know we are trying to really excel in most areas, economic growth, social growth as well. And it's really inspiring to see that we have leadership at all levels, which is making sure that no one gets left behind in this story of our growth, and making sure that all efforts are made. I mean, we had this our officer from Lakshadweep who was telling us how difficult the terrain is. We also hear other officers from various states and union territories, and the way that they are overcoming these challenges, the way they are motivating their people to make things move in the states and union territories, that's really impressive. So a big round of applause for all of you, sir. Thank you so much. So that's about it. I mean, I would also, I mean, if you may allow, also like to thank my team. We have Shefali and Angad, who also were very instrumental. Thank you so much, everyone. And pardon? Oh yes, of course. Sir, आपसे तो शुरू ही करा था. And I mean, of course, sorry, but I mean, Mr. Rohit and his team is like family, so kind of you tend to overlook your family at times. So thank you so much for all your efforts, Rohit and your team. If you can maybe just stand up and we can all just clap for you. Thank you so much. Thanks, and just one last request, I mean, I'm sure a lot of us made some new friends here and we re-strengthened our relationships with some of our old colleagues. My only request will be, let's keep these relationships alive, let's keep working together with the same motivation and determination, new ideas, and keep excelling as we do. So thank you so much, and I would like to invite you to lunch. Thank you so much.
Hello. One small logistic announcement. Those who are checking out today from this hotel are requested to check out now and keep their luggage at the reception. So if you can check out as early as possible, that will be really helpful. Thank you so much. Those who are flying out today. So thank you. Hello. Those who have flights tomorrow can be here till 2 o'clock tomorrow, and those who are flying out today are requested to check out as early as possible.
Sir, one small announcement, sir. Whoever is leaving for Mahabalipuram site, after lunch, assemble in the portico. Vehicle is ready.